You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up. Weekdays, catch us live. Somebody, let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits, because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on today. There was a lot of things that happened yesterday I didn't get a chance to talk to you guys about because I was feeling like I was sick as a dog yesterday, y'all. I'm going to be real. I'm surprised I got through last night's show. I felt like absolute trash yesterday, okay? I still don't feel great today, but I'm here to give you guys the news. I'm here to give you guys the updates and the things that are going on today and some of yesterday and over this weekend, because there's a lot of stuff that has gone on over this weekend that matters that we need to talk about. So this is going to be a very action-packed, very informationally packed show today, okay? So please do me a favor before we get into everything, because we got a lot to talk about. Okay, we got things that happened last night. We have some updates in regards to that. We got so much more that we need to talk about. So please do me a favor. Hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on these other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, and Kick. I'm on all them mugs, y'all. So make sure you are following or hitting that like on the page, whatever they ask you to do, okay? Follow, like. Don't forget to subscribe here on my main channel, my YouTube channel, please and thank you, okay? Please. Your boy's working hard out here in these streets, even when he is ill. I'm sorry, I referred myself to the third person. I'm not going to do that again. But please, your boy's working hard out here in these streets, okay? So just please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. Go to my third channel. I got a third channel, okay? It's called Pascal Raw. Brand new channel. Just a podcast type thing. New stuff coming out this week on that channel as well. So please do me the solid and subscribe over there as well. Make sure you hit that notification bell on all these channels so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because right now, honestly, it's kind of random, okay? Your boy's busy, all right? I'm doing everything I can to give you guys all the updates while I'm available, okay? So subscribe, hit that notification bell. Hit that join button down below, please and thank you. Become a member. Support the channel if you can. Check out my Patreon and check out pascalmerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. PascalMerch.com. All right? Okay, Daco. We got to get into this, guys. We have got to get into some things. There's a lot going on today. Like I said, there's a lot that I missed yesterday, which kind of sucks. You know what I'm saying? I was really sick, y'all. I was not feeling well. And yeah, it was one of those things. Literally, I was just curled up in a ball, feeling like absolute dog water. Okay? Worse than dog water. Okay? Yeah, it was painful. Yeah, it was bad. But I was able to go live with you guys last night. I could not go a day without giving you guys some sort of updates. And of course, the big conversation that was going on yesterday was the situation that happened in New York City. Okay. And that was absolutely just wild, unbelievable. And we are going to be talking about some updates revolving around that for sure. Okay. So there's a lot, as you can see in the title up above, down below, wherever you're watching this show, there's a lot that we need to talk about and there's a lot to cover. So there's a few things that happened overnight. Okay. Before we go into the main topics for today. First and foremost, yeah, we haven't talked about this mother love in a while. And we keep on thinking we're done with him. But he ain't done with us. We're back at the conversation about Diddy. Yes, and he is asking for bail all over again. You know what? There is no quitting him. That's one thing I'll give him. There ain't no quit in this mother lover. Not at all. All right? He does not take no for an... That's not great, by the way. if you really think about it, he doesn't take no for, especially with everything that's been going on with his freak off videos and his freak off tapes and his, the hibbity dibbity, the baby oil and the Astro Glide, okay, and the juicy hogs and the Alabama Slammer. Given the fact that he still says he don't take no for an answer, is a bad look. It's a really bad look. Do you know how many times he's tried to go for a bail? Do you know how many times? I'm asking you guys because I've lost count. I'm being dead ass. I've lost count. How many times? 6? 7? 11 times? It doesn't matter. At this point, he should read the room at this point, basically saying like, nah, bro, you're not coming out. And no, I'm not saying I'm coming out. No, not like that. Okay. That whole trial definitely outed him. Okay. I mean, is that considered a little, like, if you like watching other dudes with your girl and you in the corner wearing a mask, you know what I'm saying? Ain't that a little, I mean, that's, if anything, that's a little zesty, right? It's a little bit, right? So, I mean, it was his coming out party, right? Kind of, sort of. I mean, some people say, like, bisexuality, if you're bisexual, then you gay. You see what I'm saying? They just say, nah, you gay. Especially with men. Women, it's okay. Women are allowed to be actually fluid. But mans, as soon as you say, I prefer, I kind of like both. Instantly in the general public's mind, court of public opinion comes back and the verdict says you gay. So he really did like have his whole, he was forced to be out here, to be out. The feds lit that closet on fire and he jumped out of that mother like that. No one thinks so that he's as straight can be. It's okay. Think about it. Okay. Take some time. Think about it. Discuss it amongst yourselves and then come back to me. Okay. But on some real stuff, he was kind of forced to be out the closet. All right. And because he says he's a nonviolent John. I'm sorry. This is like a joke. No, seriously, think about it. It feels like a punchline. He's like, I should be let go just because I have a hankering for hogs, okay? And seeing my woman get dug out by a big, juicy hog does not mean I should be locked up. The only thing I've done bad here, guys, is pay for a little sex. That's all I did, okay? So what? I'm a little zesty. So what? I like a little sausage. All right. In my what do we call it? A little extra sausage in my jambalaya. Okay. But it's still, I've done nothing violent. Okay. I'm an innocent man. You know what I mean? Isn't that a Billy Joel song? I think it is. I'm an innocent man. You know what I mean? That's what he's saying. I'm a nonviolent John. I'm a nonviolent John. Like, why is this a conversation? He said, I'm a client. I'm not evil. Here's the thing, though. Time out. Before we go into this article, okay? And yes, it's crazy that he wants that vanilla milkshake. Oh, good God. Oh. Okay, now, here's the thing. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. Now, when it comes to all of that, we learned a lot of stuff about him and the other women, too. Let's be real. Oh, and the performers. Let's just use that for right now, okay? All of them be mans, okay? They all mans. Now, we learned a lot about him, but one thing is for sure. The judge said, I'm not letting you out because you admitted to being a violent person. Let me repeat that again. He said, the judge, Okay? Sumberman. Judge Sumberman. I can't say his last name, but the judge, okay? With all due respect, his last name's kind of hard to pronounce, for me at least. He said, I'm not going to grant you bail. You're not going to be able to walk. After the verdict was announced, he said, your team admitted that you are a violent individual, that you are a hothead, and that you fully embrace the fact that you put your hands on these women. There's no denying that. So because of that, I can't let you out because you admitted to being a danger, not only to these victims, but potential witnesses and victims out there as well. What about all the people that testified? You're still a danger to the public. You are going to be locked up. Now, if I was in his shoes, okay, first off, let me just say this. Okay? When it comes to the judge, I 110% agree with, I approve this message. Okay? I'm with him 100%. His team said it out loud. And you know for a fact that his whole thing was orchestrated by his team or by him, okay? He orchestrated his team. He was literally the conductor, okay? Telling them what they could say, what they couldn't say. And it worked. But one thing backfired. The fact that he did not sit there and say, I'm not a violent person. I'm a good man. I won't be a bad guy. I'm a good guy. Yet they admitted that, yeah, he's violent, but it's all love. Let's not forget that. It's all love. Judge is going to walk away and not forget that. It's impossible for you to forget that he's admitting to being extremely violent and that maybe it's not a good idea to let him out right now. Let's not forget also, too, the CNN video. Yeah. The CNN video. In fact, I'm surprised they actually knew that it was Diddy and not some white man in that video. That's another conversation in itself. But at the same time, CNN put out that video exposing Diddy, doing that vicious stuff to Cassie. He didn't deny it. He said, yeah, that's me, but it's all love. Let's not forget that too, right? Ridiculous. But now he's coming out with a bail or coming out with documents basically saying, please, Judge, please let me go. I'm a nonviolent John. That doesn't make sense. Do you understand? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, but the videos, though, and the fact that your team admitted that you are a violent person means that you're a violent person. How can you not be a nonviolent person but be violent at the same time? Make it make sense. Oh, by the way, before we go into this article too, you know when he was attacking Cassie in the hotel room, Intercontinental Hotel in LA, he was viciously attacking her. He currently at that moment was a John. Hold on. Okay, here's the thing. Think about it for a second. He actually did have a performer in the hotel room in which Cassie was trying to run out of. You know that, right? That's confirmed. There was another dude in there just laid out, just chilling, okay? Trying to relax, getting his milkshake ready to bring Diddy back to the yard, okay? And then Diddy ran after Cassie. So currently, at that time, he was a John. We already heard countless other accounts where he was attacking Cassie in closed rooms and telling her, go back out there and finish strong, girl. Finish strong. Go on out there and finish strong, right? So the fact that he's even sitting here saying, I'm a nonviolent John. All I did was have a hankering for freaking hogs, and I'm still locked up here? Let me go. Makes no sense. Do you understand that makes no sense? It makes no sense. But let's get into this article. He had a hankering for hogs, y'all. And he was also violent at the same damn time. And he's admitted that in court. So again, for him to sit here and say, let me out on bail, I'm not violent, doesn't make any sense. Let's take a look at this, shall we? So Diddy is taking another bite at the apple because his legal team just filed a new motion for bail. But they say he's the only man in America behind bars for hiring male S workers to bang his girlfriend. Say that again. Say that again and put some stank on it. That doesn't make any sense, y'all. I'm only in here because I'm only locked up because I just have a hankering for hogs. Okay? I'm only being chastised and punished for liking the act of being cucked. Yeah. Diddy's legal team, spearheaded by, well, we already know about Agnifilo and Tenny Garagos, just sent a new bail package proposing a proposal over to the judge, rattling off a list of reasons why they believe Diddy should be released from jail before his October 3rd sentencing. They really trying, though. They are really singing for their supper. I'm going to keep it a bean. They you know what I mean? Diddy is paying every pretty penny for every single motion, document, whatever they put out. He is working. He's putting them to work. Okay? And they are still trying to get this man out. He is not going to get out. Let me just remind you guys. He is not going to get out. He's not going to get out. Not before October 3rd. It's not going to happen. What is it? The judge is just going to wake up one day and go, yeah, let me just let him out. He's not that violent. I mean, so what? He likes the peni. He likes peni. You know, it's plural for penis. It's no big deal. Let's just let him go. Let's let him out. Okay? Let him live his life for a little bit before he gets sentenced. It's not going to happen, guys. Okay? It's not. Isn't plural for penis peni? I'm joking. I know it's not, but at the same time, it sounds funny. Moving on. In the docs obtained by TMZ, Diddy's lawyers argue most folks convicted on the Mann Act charges, okay? Diddy was found guilty on those two Mann Act counts, are released from custody before sentencing. It doesn't matter. He said him violent, though. Diddy's camp says it's ridiculous he's behind bars because he was only convicted of hiring professional male S workers who are, by the way, not minors, to have relations with his long-term girlfriend as part of these group gatherings. Okay, these freak-offs. All right. Of course, this is Cassie and Jane, which everybody already knows who that is. Okay. Living a swinger lifestyle. So he's basically saying, you're chastising me because I live an alternative lifestyle. I like to see the hog while I'm in the corner losing my religion. That's why I'm being locked up. That ain't right. Set me free. His lawyers say a lot has changed in terms of society's view on the SEX since the Mann Act was passed 115 years ago in June of 1910. And they claim, I'm sorry, I can't read that sentence without laughing a little bit. I'm sorry. Okay. And they claim Diddy had never had relations with the guys he hired. Only his girlfriends did, or his ex-girlfriends did. So they're saying, so society's view on the hibbity-dibbity has changed over the past 115 years since the Mann Act was created in June of 1910. Now, I understand, back in the day, they're doing the Charleston and stuff, doing all this stuff, okay? And so the hibbity-dibbity, the group gatherings and seeing other dudes smashing your girl while you're in the corner losing your religion may not be what was, of the norm back in the day. But still, if you're hiring these guys you're still creating or you're still a part of doing some sort of crime. So it doesn't matter. Mann Act exists still to this day for a very specific reason. And if you're paying dues to show up to dig your woman out, sorry, but yeah, that's still illegal. That's still prostitution. Okay? That's still a pro doing institution stuff. You see what I'm saying? You got me? Okay? That's still prostitution. Still it is. Doesn't change anything. Remember, prostitution is a tale as old as time. Okay? It's been here since God knows how long. All right? It's been around since the hibbity-dibbity was hibbity-dibbiting out here. Okay? So again, for them to sit there and go, it's an old legal thing. It doesn't exist. It shouldn't exist anymore. People are all cuckolding each other all day long. You need to stop. Don't look in this corner. Don't look over in this area because hell to the no. No. Is everybody doing that now? Is that the thing? Because we live in a time where OF and, effery like that is, and shame is gone. So suddenly this is a normal thing. Think about that for a second. This is normal. This is normal now. I'll tell you what, I have never will I ever have a hankering for hogs. It's ever. And there ain't nothing sexy about a man doing your girl right in front of you while you're in the corner. Sorry. Maybe that's a thing for everybody else. Maybe you like that. It's on you. Okay. But the spiciness has always been around here. It's always been here. But prostitution has always been around forever. And it's illegal in a lot of these parts, ma'am. So again, for you to try to change and move the goalpost because it's an old crime doesn't make any sense. It exists. The Mann Act exists for a very, very, very good reason. And the reason why it hasn't changed is for a very good reason as well. But let's move on. He's awaiting his sentencing, which we already know is on October 3rd, after being convicted of the charges, pro charges, and skating on the more serious charges, like the racketeering and the STing. But he was denied bail hours after the jury returned its verdict. So the judge said Diddy was a danger to the community because of his violent past that the defense did not shy away from at trial, like I said earlier, right? In the docs, Diddy's defense says he only got violent with Jane in June of 2024 after she provoked him with her own violent acts, and they claim that's the only instance of Diddy being violent since the split from Cassie that we know of. We've heard other things. He's been putting his hands on other people. Let's not forget Deontay Nash, okay, saying, hey, he's picked me up by the throat and slammed me onto the hood of a car. I mean, come on now. This is not somebody who is just has a few bouts of violent acts. This guy is a violent person, okay? And we've heard this numerous of times. So the jury was shown. We already know about all of that. Diddy's proposal bail package looks like this. It's a $50 million bond, $50 million, secured by Diddy's Florida estate and co-signed by 3 financially responsible people. Interesting. I wonder who those 3 financially responsible people are. Maybe somebody that rhymes with Kanye West. Moving on. The proposal says Diddy will reside at his Miami home and limit his travel to the Southern District of Florida and the Southern District of New York. It also proposes he be placed under U.S. Pretrial Services Agency supervision and surrender his passport. Do you have your passports? Do you have your shots? Diddy says if the court wants to add some more bail conditions, that's fine too. Even if it means home detention, treatment for mental health and substance abuse, electronic surveillance, and private security. Private security can go bye-bye. Okay? That means he's paying them, and then they're at his disposal, not the other way around. I'm just going to let you know. Okay? But moving on. The judge has yet to rule, but prosecutors previously argued against Diddy being released before sentencing. Of course, they say stay tuned. I'm going to be real, all right? When it comes to the likes of Diddy asking for bail, this is absolute trash to me. You can try all you want. You could try all you want all day long to make it seem like he's not a violent person. But one of the main reasons why he was denied bail in the first place was because the judge said and believed that Diddy is a violent person. He is a threat to the public. And again, all the people that have testified, all the people that have said anything negative or is borderline bad about Diddy, exposing his lifestyle, exposing how he works, the inner workings of how he treats other artists, other victims, other people that work alongside Cassie or Jane Doe or any of these other people, all of them would be threatened by his release. Again, you don't think that at some time while he's sitting in his cell, he hasn't had time to write down a list of people that he wants to seek revenge on as soon as he gets out? This is not the kind of guy who just kind of says, eventually I'll get my day, I'll get my revenge. No, he's going to be, as soon as he gets out, he's going to try to do something bad. They say, "Oh yeah, I'm a nonviolent John." Yet we see the stills here, right? This actually was a moment where there was an S worker in the hotel room. He was technically a John at that moment. So no, he is a violent person. He is a violent John. So no, they can miss me with all the nonsense, and they can keep him exactly where he is until he is sentenced. That's it. What are you going to do? If the judge says, yeah, you can go, you will get a few weeks and he's going to get locked right back up. You might as well just stay right there. Stay where you at. Okay? Stay exactly where you at, boo-boo. Okay? And then eat up the time, and you'll be sucking off plenty of vanilla milkshakes in the future. Just make sure that it's all legal and it's all consensual, because it's all about love, right? So if it is about love, it should be legal and consensual, right? And here's the thing too. Let me just say this really quick. Just talking about the diddler for a minute, okay? Because this is some real stuff, real talk. But let me just say this really quick. You don't think that there are other mans out there that would be down to do what you want to do? And here's what's crazy is that they would do it for free. In fact, this whole situation now, right? Now that everybody knows about this, there's plenty of freak leaks out there. Plenty of dudes that are freaks that'll be like, hell yeah, I'll do this and I'll do it for free. Look at these bad girls, man. I will smash right in front of him without any problems. You don't think that you won't find some dudes that would be down for this kind of lifestyle? That you don't have to pay for at all? They just need to show up. Make sure that they're heavily hydrated, right? And hose that fire down. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know what? The feds did him a favor, because when he finally gets out, every dude's going to be sliding in his DMs like, sup. Okay? A whole bunch of eggplant emojis and squirt emojis. Okay? Real talk. And now he can just choose what he wants, and he doesn't have to pay a mother-loving dime, except for maybe paying for the hotel rooms. I don't think he's going to do the hotel rooms anymore, though. He's just going to do it in his crib. Real talk. And he's going to treat it like he's a married man. Okay, so Wednesday nights is the hibbity-dibbity night. Okay, it's date night. Yeah. And the kids, everybody's going to know now. And it's going to be fine. He's going to be able to live his life free. Okay. Like I said, he'll be able to run out there in the dandelions, in a field of dandelions, like mother loving Sound of Music. Okay. The hills are alive. You know what I mean? Just yes. Instead of it being dandelions, this is a bunch of hogs. And he's just running through, happy as hell. And then he can find another girl who's down for it and it'll be fine. I'm just saying. This whole situation probably is going to help him out in the long run. And now we don't ever have to wonder if Farnsworth Bentworthy is you know what I mean? Now we'll just know. Oh, we see him around. So they definitely bumping uglies. Okay. The only question that anyone's going to ask is, ooh, so that guy that Diddy's with, what's he packing now? That's what people are going to be asking. Not me, though. Not me. You nasty mother lovers out there. Okay. That y'all going to be out here asking that question. Okay. Ain't that wild? Now everybody understands the assignment. So he'll be just fine. Okay? He gonna be just fine. Wild times. Wild times indeed. Now, here's the thing. Before we go into everything that's been going on with the New York shooting and all that, there's definitely some things we got to talk about. For example, it was something I was going to talk about yesterday, but then I got sick. And then, of course, there's been the whole tragedy that happened yesterday, which we are going to be talking about here in just a minute. But we got to talk about this next thing, all right? And I've talked about this, or I mentioned it during the live last night, in jest. But we do have to talk about this, okay? So Sydney Sweeney is causing quite the, what's the word? She's causing quite the outrage right now. For those of y'all who don't know who Sydney Sweeney is, she's an actress. Okay, she made her name in the show Euphoria because she was butt naked the entire. I'm being real. I mean, she was just naked the entire time. We definitely know she has. For those of y'all who are watching the show, we all know if she has tattoos on her or not. But here's the thing, because we saw everything all the way up to the Holy Spirit. Okay. But she's an actress. There it is. Okay. Now, the thing is and it depends on if you think she's talented or not. Real talk. It depends on what, if you think her acting is fantastic or if you think she's trash. That's up to you guys. Acting is within the eye of the beholder. That's what I truly think. Okay. But here's the thing. So recently she's been getting a lot of backlash and there's been a lot of outrage. And they basically been saying that the woke left has lost their minds, that they're losing their minds over these ads that this woman was doing for American Eagle. But the thing is that she's always been pushing. She's been pushing the envelope as of late. Do you guys not remember that she was selling her own bathwater as soap? No, hold on. Do you remember that? That wasn't very long ago. She was selling her bathwater as soap. Now, I don't know whether or not she literally got into a tub, okay, after like a marathon run and then just, scrubbed herself down. And then they just started pouring bit by bit into and formulated a jar, like a bar of soap, okay, for consumers. I don't know the whole thing. But literally, she was selling her bathwater as bars of soap. That got people angry. No, it's Sydney Sweeney. It ain't the wrong girl. It is Sydney Sweeney. Look it up. This is true. Now, I don't know if it was a gimmick and it was just like a bunch of scents You know what I mean? A bunch of different fragrance that would smell like her bath water. You know what I'm saying? Which sounds disgusting because that sounds really like a nasty mop, like a moldy ass mop. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how water be, especially dirty water, when it's just sitting there just festering, it leaves a smell. And it doesn't smell like a beautiful woman. Okay? It doesn't. It smells like ass. It smells like vomit, ass, and everything in between. Okay? Have you smelled a dog taking a dump after eating something they shouldn't have been eating? It was like against their diet. You know what I'm saying? Have you smelled that before? That's what it smells like. That's what bath water, when it sits and just chills, that's what it smells like. Okay? So again, I don't know why anybody would go out of their way to buy bath water soap. I'm sorry. I don't get it. Okay? I just don't get it. But she did that. And the world lost their minds at that time too. Because apparently people have a problem with, let's just say, arguably good-looking people. They have a problem with arguably good-looking people doing ridiculous things like that. It causes backlash. It causes a reaction, outrage, and whatnot. And then again, it gets people going, right? And for some odd reason, in some weird way, it keeps her relevant, which makes no mother-loving sense. It doesn't. Like, I'm not sitting there going, oh, I'm so enraged by you talking about bathwater soap. Now I got to watch all her movies. It doesn't do that for me. Does that do that for you? Now, I get trying to stay relevant out here, but there's, like I said, there's levels to this, baby. There are levels. You know what I'm saying? And there's something about this that seems a little bit weird. So she came out with this whole thing, okay, where it's like, American Eagle saying that she has great genes, right? Now, I gotta play one of the ads, okay? Real quick, we got to take a look at one of these ads. And don't get me wrong. I mean, it's just a pair of jeans. It's just a pair of mother-loving jeans. But it's not what she's wearing. It's what the slogan is what's being said in the slogan. It's not a great look. It's not good. It's not good. This is just one of them. This is just one of the ads. Let's take a look.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
Okay. So Sydney Sweeney has great genes. By the way, I mean, me personally, I ain't a big fan of the jeans. Okay. It does not accentuate. I mean, as a guy, okay, we looking. It's as obviously, zoomed in on the booty. So we looking. Okay. And so I'm going, what booty? This is what? Yeah. And she even does the whole like wiping her butt kind of thing. Like, take a look right here. Okay. She does this whole thing. Like, I'm just so sleek and sexy in my jeans. Okay. First off, what booty? These jeans are so baggy. How baggy are they? They're so baggy. She ain't got no ways. It's so weird to me, guys. Respectfully, she's got no ass, right? And yet they say she has great genes. So again, ha ha ha. Play on words. And of course, people are getting upset about this because, let's be real, they're saying that this is eugenics. Now, this is just one of the ads. I mean, there's plenty more. Okay, where she's literally going, talking about her eyes being blue or something crazy like that. It's ridiculous. Actually, I'm trying to see if I can find that clip real quick. And you know what's wild to me is that people are basically saying that she Like people are looking at this situation and they're basically saying, "Oh yeah, America's back." I don't see how America's back because she's wearing jeans. Real talk. I just don't see it. How it is she wearing jeans and talking about how she has good genes and how her eyes are blue. How is this a representation of America coming back? You know what I mean? It's like you ain't never left. You know, it's like Backstreet Boys. They said Backstreet back, all right. And you're like, you just put out you had a single before this song, so you never left. You just came. What do you mean by you back? Like you didn't take a 5-year hiatus. So it's the same thing when I look at this situation. You mean to tell me that she back, like she bringing America back by her butt and boobies? She bringing America back. I'm very confused. I'll tell you what, though.
Genes are passed down from parents.
I will tell you what, though. There's one I can't show you. I feel like is a little bit too provocative, in my personal opinion. It's just a little too provocative. But there's 2 little clips. I'm just telling you right now. One thing's for sure. Maybe it's not America's back, but the Canadian tuxedo is back for ladies. The Canadian tuxedo is back like a mother lover now. Take a look at this one. Here's another one. Okay, you know what I mean? Maybe she is bringing the 80s and 90s flat ass back. Maybe that's what it is. You know what I mean? No more lunges. No more. You know, no more working on that butt. No more. It's just gonna be just flat. You know what I'm saying? Just aerobic flat. You know? No, maybe not. Let's take a look at this though.
My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
Hold on. Let me just, I'm going to scroll back just a little bit, like right here. Cause like I said, it's a little bit too, you know what I mean? It's a little, you know, but she says something here.
My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney
never mind.
Has very keens.
Well, we're going to get to the next one. Cause this next one is like, interesting. No body shaming. No body shaming. I'm talking about the jeans. They're just not, you know, they're just very baggy jeans. You know what I mean? They're just baggy jeans. But let's move on.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very keens.
Okay, so here's the thing. It's crazy. And it's the voice, too, that's just driving me crazy, too. But it is what it is, okay? People are reacting to this big time. A lot of people are looking at this and going, holy crap, this is some eugenics type of stuff. This is a very fascist, very Nazi type of propaganda, okay? Because she's blonde hair, she has blue eyes. They're talking about how she has great genes. She white. So, of course, everybody and their mama is losing their minds over this situation. Now, here's the thing. I can see it. I'm not going to lie. I see it. I can see it. I can see why people are looking at this. And, of course, they're sitting there going, oh, yeah, you know, everyone's just upset because they ain't pretty like her. Well, not everybody thinks that she's pretty. Not everybody thinks that she is. But here's the thing, though. This is when I go and look at a situation like this and go, okay, I'd love to see other people do it. Give me other celebrity faces on that ad. Throw in an Asian woman, throw in a black woman, throwing in, you know what I mean? Show me other people. They can all be gorgeous. I don't care. But just give me variety. Because again, American Eagle obviously is trying to go off of, you know, controversy. And maybe this is going to get people to want to go and buy their jeans. Apparently their stocks went up as soon as Sydney Sweeney said that she was rocking with American Eagle. So obviously she has some sort of pull and she has some sort of influence. But I'm telling you right now, is this enough to get people running over there and wearing American Eagle jeans? I'm curious. But like I said, show a little bit more variety. Show some more people. It's not woke. This is not woke. This is just a question of, okay, if you're going to be able to keep going with this whole great genes thing, then show other people. Okay? Show other people, other beautiful individuals. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, please bring in this person or that person or what. They can all be beautiful. It doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't matter to me. But show a little bit of variety in the situation. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Sydney Sweeney, for those who think she's beautiful, they like her, and the camera clearly likes her as well. Now, it's the play on words that's obviously driving people a little bit nuts, right? And so let me show you. Let's see this. Let's take a look at this here. Like I said, and let's be real, okay? They're talking about her genes because, people say that she's a beautiful person, etc., right? But they're also talking about her ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-tas. That's what they're also talking about for sure, too. And they're obviously showcasing that even in this video as well, okay? Let's be real, all right? So again, you see something like this, and it's like, I can see why they're saying what they're saying. It's the play on words is not so great, but at the same time, I really do think that they could still run on this. They just might need to bring a few more other people, other diverse people into the thing. Shoot, the person could be brown hair, brown eyed. Okay? Real talk. But of course, I think some people are still feeling some type of way about the fact that this woman was selling her bathwater as bars of soap. I mean, that's insane. So yeah, I can see a lot of people being angry and, already having, some sort of venomous vitriol and anger towards this woman to begin with. Okay. Because this woman said she is so fine that she can sell her bathwater as soap. That's insane, guys. I'm sorry, but that's insane. Let's take a look at this.
Should we be surprised that a company whose name is literally American Eagle is making fascist propaganda like this? Probably not, but it's still really shocking. Like, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white woman is talking about her good genes. Like, that is Nazi propaganda. Should we be surprised that a company...
I mean, again, I can see how some will look at this and go, man, y'all, they be reaching. I get it. But then there's another part of me where I'm like, I can see that though, too. I can see it a little bit. And I'm saying that the campaign isn't a complete wash. One, it's causing a lot of controversy. Controversy works, right? Now everybody and their mama knows about American Eagle and their genes now, especially the youngins, because again, they are trying to cater to the youngins, to the young kids, right? So again, there's going to be somebody out there that's going to be willing to go and buy it, right? Just like there's somebody out there that was willing to go buy her bathwater as soap. Somebody out there was going to go buy it. I'm sure it did just fine. I'm sure it's doing just fine, right? Whether it's really her bathwater or not, I'm just saying. Clearly, people are going to go and buy because controversy works. But look at all the other places like not only just American Eagle, American Apparel. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. If you don't know about American Apparel, holy crap. Take a trip down memory lane on American Apparel. Okay. All those things were very, looked like CP content. Okay. But people were eating all that stuff up. Okay. Eating all that stuff up. Yes. Beautiful disaster. Great point. Back to school shopping right now is happening. I totally forgot about that. It's crazy how fast this summer is ending, how quickly we went through this summer. But yeah, you're right. Okay. People are going to be like, oh, I definitely want to get that. Those are great jeans, right? Like I said, the Canadian tuxedo is back and it's coming in hot for girls now. So again, like I said, this is perfect timing to have this controversy sparking off like this right now. Okay. But I'm telling you right now, the controversy, people losing their minds about this. Let me be real. They could literally win off of this situation. What they need to do, all right, what they need to do is throw in other people. So that is not just Sydney Sweeney. They could literally make this work in their favor. What's a Canadian tuxedo? It's when you're wearing a jean jacket or jean top and jean pants. Okay, so the Jay Leno, perfect example. The Jay Leno that he likes to wear all denim. So that's denim on denim on denim on denim. Okay, that is literally the Canadian tuxedo. Just so you know. All right, but moving on, they could literally walk this back and make this work out in their favor. Okay. Put in, I don't know, the likes of Beyonce or something of that sort, right? I'm not saying it has to be Beyonce, but you get what I'm saying. Okay. Put Lucy Liu in some jeans, and she got great jeans. You see what I'm saying? The campaign can keep rolling. They just have to spin it so that it doesn't seem like it's only exclusive to one specific race. And that's the issue that I think a lot of people are seeing right now. Respectfully, okay? The jeans don't look great to me, but that's just me. You know what I mean? As a guy, I'm just talking as a regular guy, okay? And I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I'm like, man, okay. They just look like baggy jeans to me, baggy jeans on a lazy day, right? But that's just me, right? Yeah, you can put J-Lo in there, Zendaya. You know what I'm saying? Put anybody, okay, that isn't blonde hair, blue-eyed, and I'm sure it'll do just fine. But I can see, I'm just being real, I can see why some are angry. And see, here's the thing. People on the right are basically saying, oh, it's just because these girls are ugly. That's why they're jealous. Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Let's just be real. Number one. Number two, we're all beautiful, okay? God created us in his image, all right? If you're religious, all right? We are all beautiful in all many ways. And just because not everybody falls into what is conventionally good looking doesn't mean that they don't have a place to say what's going on here. Real talk. If they see something that's a problem, they should have every right to say what is up. And I'm telling you right now, I see it. I could definitely see that problem. And like I said, it's not like this whole thing's a wash. American Eagle could literally turn this into something better. They can fix it. There's still room for it to be fixed. That's it. Because I could see that them not thinking about it. It's kind of like, you remember the Balenciaga CP debacle that happened a couple years ago? Remember when there was like a whole spread with Balenciaga and there was content in there that was really, 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 really bad, right? They got destroyed, absolutely destroyed over that situation, right? Now, they're still making stuff. People are still wearing Balenciaga. They're still doing runways. They're still doing their thing. I don't know how they're able to walk that back, but even that caused great controversy, and they're still making money. They're still Balenciaga. Remember Dove? Remember the crazy racist campaigns that came out with Dove, with black people? I don't remember specifically what it was, but it was like cleaning off the brown, if that makes any sense. It was really jacked up, right? Really bad things. And people were like, oh, cancel them. Dove's still out here. They still making stuff. You see what I'm saying? So even this, which could literally be a little tiny bit of a mistake or an oversight, right? They could literally make this work out in their favor. Okay? They really could. All they need to do is go, hey, Lucy Liu got great jeans. You see what I'm saying? Put in all the, bring in the Neapolitan ice cream of races. Bring them all in. Okay? Bring them all in. Okay? And just say, hey, they all have great genes. Done. Everybody happy, right? But let's see what's going on. Let me get some of these super chats here really quick. Elizabeth, thank you so much. Love Jefferson City. Okay, is trying to get Epstein's files released. Whoa, that's what's up. Was on the news today. I'll take a look into that, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. I know everybody wants to talk about the Epstein stuff, so we're going to get into that very shortly. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. Robin, thank you so much for being a member of the past 3 months. Happy to be here, Pascal. I'm happy you're here too, so thank you. I appreciate that. Jess, thank you so much for coming in and being a member. Appreciate it. Jess, again, thank you so much for the super chat. The jeans are cute, and I respect the hustle. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the jeans. Hey, jeans is in the eye of the beholder too. I mean, jeans that you wear, not jeans that are in your DNA. But jeans are in the eye of the beholder. If you think they're cute, then they're cute. You see what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm not dogging her hustle. I think that it's just been a very strange, it's just been a very interesting series of choices that she's been making as a star out here in these streets. But I'm not her PR. I'm not her manager. She is her own person. She can wear jeans and say she has blue jeans and she's got great jeans. If that's what they want to go with, then that's what they want to go with. Clearly, it caused an effect out here in these internet streets so much that everyone's talking about it. Even so, I'm talking about it. So the ad, in a way, actually worked. Now, was it their thought that it was going to turn into something like this, where they say it's Nazi propaganda? Probably not. But like I said, there's still room for them to make the situation right by bringing other people in there too. And no, it's not like, we need to bring in all these different diverse people and people part of the LGBT. No. It's just bringing in a couple other people, sprinkle it in. Okay. It is what it is. They're saying, this is the end of woke. Woke will always be here, guys. I'm sorry. It will always be here. And no, it's not like we're going back to the 90s or back to the 80s when their woke didn't exist or anything like that. No, there's still going to be people out here that are woke. There's still going to be people that, feel some type of way about what's going on here. People are always going to have an opinion. When they say America's back, I'm like, America never left. You see what I'm saying? America's never left. America's always been here. Period. But let's move on, though. We got more to talk about. So, of course, we got some things to talk about. First and foremost, let us get into, because I'm like, do I talk about the Ghislaine stuff first, or do I talk about the New York City situation? In fact, we are going to go straight into Ghislaine. All right. Now, some very interesting things have happened over the past couple of days. And so I'm going to try to do my best to give you as much coverage about that as I can. First and foremost, actually, I think it has something to do. I honestly think that it does have something to do with Ghislaine. So hold on. I've got to pull this up because I wanted to talk to you guys about this a while back, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this. And I think this is absolutely crazy. Okay. Now, have you guys seen the tweet that Dan Bongino put out just a few days ago? Like I said, I know some of you are like, I've been known about that, bro. Jeez. But I need to talk to you guys about this because this is absolutely crazy. And I don't know what he means. Long story short, I'm like, what the F do you mean, Dan Bongino? He put out a tweet a few days ago that has blown everybody's wigs back. I have to hit the button. And we have got to talk about this. This is insane. Okay? This is crazy. So, Dan Bongino put up a tweet that he's like, I will never be the same again, or something like that. I will never be the same after what I've learned. Stuff like that. Like, this is just crazy. Okay. Let's take a look at this. So this is from Dan Bongino. This is the deputy director of the FBI. Okay. So he says, during my tenure here as the deputy director of the FBI, I have repeatedly relayed to you that things are happening that might not be immediately visible, but they are happening. The director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. It is a priority for us. But what I have learned in the course of our properly predicated and necessary investigation into these aforementioned matters has shocked me down to my core. What the hell does he mean? And we haven't even gotten through half this mother-loving thing so far. We cannot run a republic like this. I'll never be the same after learning what I've learned. I have to hit the button. We are going to conduct these righteous and proper investigations by the book in accordance with the law. We are going to get the answers we all deserve, in caps. As with any investigation, I cannot predict where it will land, but I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at truth. Not my truth or your truth, but the truth. God bless America and all those who defend her. Respectfully, Dan. Dan Bongino put this out, and I'm going to be real. I look at this and I'm like, what in the hell? What in the hell? What is that all about? What could that be? What could he be pertaining to? What is he talking about here? He says, not my truth, not your truth, but the truth. What in the hell is he talking about? Now, does this have anything to do with Epstein? Ghislaine? Shoot, let's talk about it. Obama? Biden? We got to talk about it all. Just because Trump is throwing those things out, which clearly to me, I'm sorry, he's throwing those names out because he's trying to throw off the narrative and the looksy-loos in his direction. So he's like, well, Obama, Biden, Beyonce, Oprah, Kamala Harris. He's just throwing anybody off the boat to feed off these ravenous sharks that are literally swimming in his direction right now, right? Because everything Epstein, and I've said before, everything's coming up Epstein right now, at least for right now. But he's throwing Russia. He's doing all these things, bringing up everything he get. Yeah, even Koberger. He even threw Koberger out there. And I'm like, I didn't know you were a true crime fan, right? I didn't know you were following that. He threw everything under the sun. Oh, let's not forget Rosie O'Donnell. Okay, even Rosie O'Donnell, he threw her out there, right? I may just take her citizenship. I'm not sure. He just threw her out there, right? Clearly deflecting. But at the same time, though, you don't think that Dan Bongino's looking at all this stuff? Could there be a situation where he's literally finding out information about all of this stuff? And I'm going to keep it a bean, guys. All right. We already know that we already know about the thing about Biden. Okay. Biden, his administration was an absolute train wreck. I'll admit it. It was bad. Okay. He didn't know where he was 95%. I'll be nice. 97% of the time. Okay. He didn't know where he was. Okay. So there was some serious corruption going on. I'm not surprised about that. And I'm not thinking that every single president was going by the book. And that includes Trump. That doesn't just leap over Trump every single time, that he's just a saint. And we just go to Biden, Obama, the Bush administration, both of them, the Clinton, et cetera, right? You can't just sit there and not really look at all the administrations and go, okay, they all have done something bad, I'm sure. And maybe Dan Bongino is unearthing those things. And he's starting to figure out, like, damn, there's a lot of corruption. And maybe that's what it is. Or maybe he's finding out some things about Ghislaine, the connections with Epstein and all that. That's just that's making him balder. Maybe that is what it is. I don't know. But one thing's for sure, I'm wondering why the hell he would put something out like this on his X account for everyone to see if he wasn't trying to start an uproar or to throw up some red flags. Because when I see something like this, I go, well, what corruption? Where is the corruption? Do you mind explaining to us the origin of what is the origin story that caused you to go to your phone and type this out and tweet this? What the hell is this all about, guys? Ain't that a little crazy? Am I the only one who saw that and says that is weird? Very odd. Now, obviously, there's a lot that we got to talk about when it comes to the Ghislaine Maxwell stuff. So we got to get into this. And of course, there's a lot of information. All right. We are now understanding and we're now starting to learn that Ghislaine Maxwell has been subpoenaed to testify in front of Congress for a congressional hearing. Here's what's interesting about this, and I just saw this. This just came out, okay? So Ghislaine, okay, now she wants immunity, and she wants questions in advance for her testimony in this congressional hearing, which, by the way, happens on August 11th. Let me tell you right now, when this happens, and this will most likely be live. We are watching this. I'm going to give you a fair heads up. Fair warning, August 11th, it's going down. It's going down. All right? It's on like Donkey Kong. Okay? We're going to be talking and watching this. But something's weird about this, in my personal opinion. I just saw this. Just saw this right now. First time seeing this article. Something's weird about this. Something's weird about this. We're going to get back to that, though, because I want to play a little bit of this news clip here talking about how she is going to be subpoenaed and she's going to testify in front of Congress very soon.
Want to get right back into our headlines here as we bring you the latest on the files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime accomplice, has been subpoenaed to testify before Congress in just 2 weeks. Woo! This comes after the U.S. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche conducted a 2-day interview with Maxwell at the federal courthouse in Tallahassee, Florida. Maxwell's attorney says she answered all of Blanche's questions, quote, truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
Now, here's the thing. First off, holy crap! So in less than 2 weeks, we're going to be hearing her mouth go yabba dabba dabba and talk about a whole bunch of stuff that Epstein allegedly was involved in and any connection to anyone out there that might be running this country, might be behind running this country, or is behind big money. She's about to expose it all, allegedly. You just saw that little article. I have not seen that article yet. I've just read the title of it, and I'm like, oh, damn. That could also be very bad, okay? Because it gives her room to mother-loving lie, okay? But this is a big deal that she's going to be in front of Congress on August 11th. Do you realize? Either they're saying we want transparency and we want the American people to see how transparent we are, or they're having a conversation with her and they're saying, listen, we got to get you in front of the nation, but we want you to not tell the truth. Hear me out. Because again, if Trump does grant her pardon, maybe that's the deal. You can unearth anybody except for Trump. Let's just say Trump isn't in the list, is in the files in a nefarious way. I still don't think he is in there in a nefarious way. I really don't. But I still think that his name is in the list. Or I'm sorry, his name is in the files because he was friends with the mother lover for a long time. Okay? And he's trying so hard to dodge what he did back in the day when, let's be real, I mean, you know, he probably was a bad boy. But I don't think he was a bad boy like that. You know what I'm saying? Like doing things with littles, which is just disgusting. But I think he was out here partying and having a great time and sharing women with legal women, of age women, with the likes of Jeffrey Epstein. That's what I truly believe. Okay. And maybe there's some things out there that he doesn't want out there because it makes it look like, you know, maybe it goes against the brand. It goes against what he's been saying for decades. Maybe he was just doing all kinds of blow all day long. You never know. But he sits there and says, oh, yeah, I don't drink. I don't do any substances or anything like that. I don't do party favors because of my brother and all that stuff. And I promised my brother I would never do those kinds of things. But maybe he really was back in the day. And he just doesn't want people knowing about maybe his swashbuckling ways in the past. You never know. You see what I'm saying? There's so many possibilities. There's so many avenues that could unearth making Trump look like a butthole, because he could look like an F-boy. Real talk. Which I truly believe that he is or was an F-boy. That's what I truly think. A guy with his money, with his name, you know for a fact he was out here just bumping uglies with everything. Okay? Cheating on all of his wives. And then some. You know for a fact he was. But maybe he just doesn't want to look like a bad guy. Maybe that's what it is. Right? But then again, we leave that up to what we're going to find out eventually, right? But nonetheless, the fact that she's going to be up here saying this stuff, okay? I keep wondering, because he says, I have the power. I have the power to pardon her. Are we sure about, like, he clearly is saying those things out loud instead of him just saying, no, I'm not pardoning her. Are you out of your mind? Next question, please. He keeps saying, I have the power to, because you know for a fact he's wanting to know how much he can control her and how much information does she remember. That's what I truly think. I truly think that he's like, I can't say no right now, but I wish her well. I wish her well. But I also think he wants to know what she knows before he sits there and says, yeah, I'm going to pardon her. But I've already said this a million times before, and I'm going to say it again. If he pardons her, the world is going to implode. Every person that's out here that's ever been a victim, that has ever been a survivor of this type of stuff, and then some, they're going to lose their freaking minds. There are going to be demonstrations out in the streets. People are going to be losing their minds. I think it's going to be as bad as any of the other protests that we've seen out here in these streets. I think it's going to be even more volatile. I think so. But we'll see what happens, right? She bet, you say she won't be pardoned. She bet not be pardoned, baby. She bet not be pardoned because people going to be losing their doggone minds, baby. Okay? People are going to be losing their minds, baby. But it's interesting that she's going to be taking the stand. Is this a situation? Is this a situation where she's going to tell absolutely 110% the truth? Or has manipulation already been set in motion before this hearing actually happens? It's something to think about for sure. And you damn for sure, okay? Starbursts. Elmo won't have this, okay? Hell to the no, all right? Elmo will not have this, okay? Mr. Noodle. He would not have it. Elmo will start the revolution. Do you understand? Elmo will start it himself. He'll be marching out in the streets by himself, okay? With Mr. Noodle. Okay? Every episode now is going to be like, every episode from this point on will be, them talking about S trafficking and stuff like that. Watch. Oh, Mr. Noodle, what's S trafficking? You know what I mean? It'd be very bad. Be very, very bad.
She's currently serving out a 20-year prison sentence after being convicted of sex trafficking minors. When asked if Maxwell has asked for a pardon from President Trump, her attorney said this.
We're going to take one day at a time. I know that's very cliche, but it's true because things are happening so quickly. We haven't spoken to the president or anybody about a pardon just yet. And listen, the president this morning said he had the power to do so. We hope he exercises that power in the right and just way.
Brief remarks right there. He said, just yet. You'll hear that in quotes. Now, I do want to talk a little bit more about all of this. So let's bring in Ronald Chapman II, a federal criminal defense attorney over at Chapman Law Group. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here this morning.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And first off, I do want to ask you about that quote. When he was asked if Ghislaine Maxwell had asked for a pardon from President Trump, the attorney said, quote, not just yet. What does that mean to you in your legal expertise there?
Well, it sounds like a good sign for Maxwell. It seems like something is on the table. And here's how this would work. She sits down for a proffer and provides as much information as she can to the federal government. And they say, hey, let's make a deal. And what's on the table for a deal like that? She has a pending appeal. She's looking for a pardon, looking to get out of prison. And it looks like that is something that's still on the table, provided her cooperation is successful.
How exactly, when you talk about the pardon, if it were offered, and you kind of touched on this, but would she simply be released immediately? What does it really mean overall?
Yeah, so the Constitution gives the president the power to grant a pardon. In fact, no formal petition needs to be given in order for a pardon to be provided to somebody. Once that happens, once a pardon is executed, then she's effectively released from prison. I would expect that to happen within 2 or 3 days based on DOJ processing. Now, what's very important here is she wouldn't be given a pardon immediately. The tactics likely would be she provides cooperation, people who are involved with Jeffrey Epstein are investigated. Possibly she testifies on the witness stand. And as a benefit of all of that, she would get a pardon. So I wouldn't expect it soon, but I would expect some news related to her cooperation to come out very soon.
Now, here's the thing. The reason why it wouldn't happen so soon is because they know for a fact if she was pardoned within minutes, within days of her testimony, people would lose their minds. But if they wait like a couple months, when the dust is settled, let's just say that they actually finally put out the files, or what they want us to believe to be the full files. Let's just be real, because there's a potential of them just redacting everything or just accidentally not giving everybody, the public, all the files. Let's be real. But let's say that happens. She does her testimony, files are out, and say a month or two later, she is released. She's pardoned. She's actually pardoned. People still be pissed. People still react. People still believe that she doesn't deserve to be locked up, or she doesn't deserve to be freed. I'm sorry. Right? So there still would be an absolute visceral reaction to the situation. Doesn't matter if they waited a year. People would still react in this way because everyone's been so attached to this situation. You mean to tell me that you let this particular person go and she is a part of these egregious crimes? People would lose their minds, guys. People would absolutely lose their minds.
I wanted to ask you because, as I mentioned here off the top, she has been subpoenaed to testify before Congress. So what are her options there? Does she have to testify? Can she plead the Fifth? How does all of that work?
So when somebody is subpoenaed by Congress, they have to testify or they will face contempt of Congress. In this case, it would be a misdemeanor. However, she does have her Fifth Amendment right available to her, which means that she can plead the Fifth on every question or on only questions that she believes would lead to potential culpability if she was perhaps investigated for those. Now, likely what will happen is that she will probably negotiate the circumstances of what she will talk about ahead of time. Her attorney will do that, and there will be a limited statement made to Congress. Another thing that we need to address, though, are documents. This subpoena likely relates to documents that Congress wants to look at, so-called the Epstein files. I would expect for her attorneys to have to provide a wealth of documents and information over to Congress in advance of that subpoena. And that's probably going to do a lot more than her testimony.
I wanted to ask you, because as I mentioned here off the top, do we think that Congress is looking for? What kind of questions are we talking about? Is all of that still kind of up in the air?
Well, what Congress should be looking for is information that would help them draft legislation that would be related to sex trafficking. They would also look for information to suggest that, or to see if other federal agencies did their jobs appropriately. That's what's within Congress's mission. Of course, we all know that Congress doesn't just look for what it's supposed to look for. Oftentimes, they're looking to see if there's maybe some political dirt that might be available related to other people, perhaps those involved with Jeffrey Epstein. We're hearing about 100 names. That could be a relatively large amount of powerful people, politically connected people. And I imagine that is something that right now that Congress is very interested in getting into. Surprisingly, though, the vote to subpoena her received bipartisan support from a lot of people in Congress, which was quite surprising if this list does contain a lot of high-profile people on it.
Now, if there is high-profile people on this, this is very bad. All right, it's bad, but it's already given. That's already a given, y'all. That there's going to be high-profile people in the files on this list, because you know for a fact the feds have a list. You can sit here all day long saying that the list doesn't exist, but it does. Okay, it really, really does. You can't deny that. You can't deny that this man, that this man had a Rolodex of names of powerful people that were connected to this whole ring of disgusting things. If there wasn't, then why is Epstein Epstein? Think about that for a second. Now, I do want to share this because there's some other information that broke over the last few hours right before we went live. That's why I was a little late. And I want to share those things with you guys too, because it's some crazy revelations. It's some breaking news here in just a minute. But I do want to share with you guys, Mike Johnson, okay? House Speaker Mike Johnson. He's been out here as of late doing all kinds of interviews, all types of conversations. He was on the Benny show basically saying we need transparency. Then immediately after that about the Epstein stuff. And then immediately after that let the House go on break, on summer break early, weeks early. Then he came back and said, no, you guys got it twisted. You guys got it all twisted. It wasn't like that. No. You misread that. No. The House is still open. We ain't never closed no doors. Okay, we gonna get down to the bottom of this. Okay, I promise. Right now, after everything that's been going on, the fact that Trump has been saying, hey, I have the privilege, I have the ability to pardon her, instead of just saying straight up, hell no, right? Mike Johnson went back onto NBC News and he had a few things to say, because in the very beginning he said, there is no daylight between me and Trump when it comes to this whole situation with Epstein. There is no daylight, meaning they very close. They almost making love, okay? They almost one entity, okay? So happy together, you know what I mean? Just like that. Sandwiched together, right? And now he goes on to NBC News and he says this, which I think is very interesting. Let's take a listen.
Let me move on to Ghislaine Maxwell. As you know, Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Attorney General spent 2 days interviewing her. She, of course, has been convicted of grooming, recruiting, abusing young teenage girls, along with Jeffrey Epstein. Mr. Speaker, Maxwell's attorney said she answered all questions honestly and truthfully. But do you think that Ghislaine Maxwell can be trusted?
Well, I mean, look, it's a good question. I hope so. I hope that she would want to come clean. We certainly are interested in knowing everything that she knows. And as you'll note, in our House Republican majority, we're working towards that. Chairman Comer and our Oversight Committee has already issued their own subpoena. They want to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell as well. I hope she's telling the truth. She is convicted. She is serving a 20-year sentence for child sex trafficking. And so her character is in some question. But if she wants to come clean now, that would be a great service to the country. And we'd like to know every single bit of information that she has. I certainly hope she's telling the truth.
I hope she is too. But I'm telling you right now, are we sure without a shadow of a doubt she is actually telling the truth? And that's the one thing that really sucks about this situation, because she is the only one. She is the only living person to tell the tale. Epstein gone. Okay. Whether he did it himself or if it was by somebody else's hand, he gone. The only other person that has the information that could tell the tale is her. And she's already been convicted, which of course I know that conviction of perjury was dropped, but she was hit with that before. So there's still a possibility that she could lie through her teeth. And also remember, they had a meeting with Ghislaine for 2 days straight, talking about over 100 different names while they were talking to her. There's still a possibility that she could come in and be influenced by the DOJ that sat down with her being like, you can talk about all these other people, but here are the 5 names you can't talk about. There's 110 people on the list. You can only talk about 105. These 5 names, you can't talk about these guys. Not at all. Don't even waste your time. You see what I'm saying? There's still room for this, whatever this meeting, however this meeting took place, there's so many different things that could have happened. Okay? And again, they have not once reached out or put out to the public the files. And they won't do it until after she speaks, because she could have been manipulated. She could be compromised. And then while she's going, not him, nope, not him, not him, not him, not him, right? They could literally go, okay, rip out this page, rip out that page, rip out this page. She mentioned all these guys. We can't, or she didn't mention these guys. So we got to get rid of them. And then we'll give it out to the public. You realize the potential here, guys. Okay? The potential for manipulation here. Once they walked into that room to talk to her, the probability of that is extremely high now, which is very frustrating.
Well, listen, this week, President Trump didn't rule out a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell. Of course, that's one of the big questions looming over all of this. So let me put this to you, Mr. Speaker. Would you support a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell, a convicted sex trafficker?
Well, I mean, obviously, that's a decision of the president. He said he had not adequately considered that. I won't get in front of him. That's not my lane. My lane is to help direct and control the House of Representatives and to use every tool within our arsenal to get to the truth. I'm going to say this as clearly and plainly and repeatedly as I can over and over. We are for maximum disclosure. We want all transparency. I trust the American people. I and the House Republicans believe that they should have all this information to be able to determine what they will. But we have to protect the innocent. And that's the only safeguard here that we've got to be diligent about. And I'm insistent upon doing so.
Okay. So you say protecting the innocent. By protecting the innocent is actually exposing the monsters that are out here. Am I correct? Am I correct? By exposing the monsters, those monsters get locked up. And that's it. Victims and innocent stay safe and stay innocent, right? So again, something doesn't make sense here. Something's rotten in Denmark. I'm going to be real. We ain't even done yet with this clip, but something ain't right here. Something definitely not right. And what's so frustrating about this is that they expect us to just kind of go, okay, yeah, we appreciate you just wanting transparency. Let's move on now. No, come on, guys. That's not enough. And then they say protecting the innocent. You mean the people that are in the list or in the files that happen to be innocent? Okay. If you're trying to expose only the bad guys, then do as such. Expose the bad guys. That's all you need to do. And besides, a lot of the victims have already been out here. So sure, you might have to redact some of the names of the victims. Fine, have at it. Here's the other thing. You've had years, by the way, years to go through the documents. So why is everybody acting all brand new about this stuff? Now we got to go through all of it. We got to redact all the victims' names, the names of the innocent, and all that. You should have been done that. You've had files. These files for years, y'all. For years. Okay? This doesn't make any sense. And here's the other thing, too. You know, when it comes to Pam Bondi, hold on. Let me just say this really quick. When it comes to the likes of Pam Bondi, when it comes to the likes of any of the other people, Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, any other officials that have been appointed by Trump himself, the thing that he loves more than anything to do, he loves more than anything in the world, aside from his Big Macs and his extra large freaking Diet Cokes, is firing people. Why hasn't he fired anybody? Think about that for a second. He loves to fire people. Didn't he trademark "you're fired"? Of all things, when people really messed up in his first administration, when people really jacked things up and made mistakes and made him look like Boo Boo the Fool, those people's heads were rolling, though. Those heads were rolling. And now you got the likes of Pam Bondi, who said, yeah, there's no list. Just like, what? Say what? Everyone lost their minds, right? And then they go, oh, no, there's a list. There's a list. We still going through it, though. We going through the files, and there's a list. Wait a second. How she still have a job? The person who loves to fire people hasn't even fired her. She should have been the first one on the chopping block, and she still got a job. And he still stood 10 toes down with this girl, with Pam Bondi. Do you see what I'm saying? It makes no sense. The man who loves to fire people goes, I don't feel like firing you. That makes no sense. When there should be more people stepping down or resigning or getting fired right now than we've ever seen, at the likes we've never seen before, right? But we're not seeing that. Ain't that a little odd, don't you think? Seems a little odd. Let me let him cook.
I guess my question is, are you open to a pardon or commutation? I mean, Mr. Speaker, the victims referred to Maxwell as Epstein's right-hand woman. Here's what one victim who testified under a pseudonym told the court at sentencing, quote, the many acts that were perpetrated on me by Epstein, including rape, strangulation, and sexual assault, were never consensual and would not have occurred had it not been for the cunning and premeditated role Ghislaine Maxwell played. Is that someone deserving of a pardon or commutation in any circumstance, Mr. Speaker?
If you're asking my opinion, I think 20 years was a pittance. I think she should have a life sentence at least. I mean, think of all these unspeakable crimes. And as you noted earlier, probably 1,000 victims. I mean, it's hard to put into words how evil this was, and that she orchestrated it and was a big part of it. At least under the criminal sanction, I think is an unforgivable thing. So again, not my decision, but I have great pause about that as any reasonable person would.
Great pause. Great pause, everybody. This gives the Speaker of the House Speaker Mike Johnson, it gives him great pause. In fact, he said this woman should be buried under the prison for her involvement in any of these crimes. 1,000+ victims? That's insane. Worse than the diddler, everybody. Worse than the diddler. You got 1,000+ victims, and she's only in there for 20-something years. And now she could possibly get pardoned by Trump because Trump said that, hey, I could give her a pardon. That's not something you want people to hear. You don't want people hearing you say those words. That is not good. Okay? That is not good. It's very interesting. We got more, though. We got a whole lot more. Okay. Now, this is just a clip of something, I want to share with y'all because this is also insane. Okay. This is Trump. And this happened just the other day. Like I said, a lot has happened over the past couple of days. And so I'm just going through all of them as much of the updates as I can. But here it is, though. Come on, y'all. Okay. Somebody put this up, said, had to replay this several times. Can't believe what I was hearing. In response to questions, Trump states he never had the quote unquote privilege of going to the island. The so-called, well, I'm not going to read that part, but they're saying, okay, that President Trump said out loud this.
That was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard.
Hold on, I gotta rewind that. How does he know that it's 28 times? Hold on, did he say 28 times? Hold up.
To the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times.
How does he know that he went there 28 times? That's a very specific number, right? Now, maybe he knows. Or maybe he's making that number up, but that's 28 times is a lot of times, baby. Damn, that's quite the number. He said, 28 times. Interesting.
I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
So he said, I didn't have the privilege of going there. Now, here's the thing. He could have been saying that in jest, trying to be sarcastic. That's possible. But he literally just said, I never had the privilege of going there. But then later on, he said, I never wanted to go there. Right? He said it right here, too.
In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
He said, in one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I never wanted to go to that island. But the fact that he said privilege is not the greatest choice of words. Okay, it's not. And I can see why some people are really riding him on that choice of word. Okay, he didn't have to say it like that. But he did say he didn't have the privilege. There's no privilege of going to a place where there's a whole bunch of kids getting moved around, if you feel me. That's not, there is no privilege on that. Okay, but that came out his own mouth, y'all. That came out his own mouth. Yeesh indeed. In fact, let me see if I can find the full clip here. Let's see if I can find it. Ba-boom.
President Trump is unable to escape.
Is it here? No, hold on.
All right, meanwhile, I want to get you to this.
Impressed by reporters. The president.
Meanwhile, I want to get you to this. President Trump is wrapping up his.
Dang it.
President Trump is unable to escape questions about the Epstein files, even while abroad.
Hold on. Sorry, guys. Let me just, okay, maybe I got it here.
President Trump trying to
Yep, he is definitely trying to do everything he can to distance himself from this situation. Let's see what's going
Scotland.
on.
Let's go to CNN's Caitlin Collins. Caitlin?
Yeah, Jake, obviously these are still questions that the president has been facing as he's negotiating.
For years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that work for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. And by the way, I never went to the island. And Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island.
There, Jake, the president listing off other people he claims that went to Jeffrey Epstein's island. But when it comes to that, Jake, it was new that he was saying that is why they had a falling out, because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to hire his staff away. We had not heard that previously. Just had been reported that they had a falling out, something the president himself has alluded to. But Jake, also something the president said today was saying that he does have the right to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell, which of course we know he does, but leaving open that possibility, though he did tell reporters no one has approached him about a pardon for her. He said it would be inappropriate to talk about it at this time. But obviously, Jake, it comes as the Deputy Attorney General, Trump's former personal attorney, just met with Ghislaine Maxwell for about 9 to 10 hours last week. It's not clear what came as a result of that. They said maybe they would release more information at the appropriate time, but we haven't learned more. But we do know that Maxwell is obviously seeking a pardon, Jake. I mean, you read any of the statements from her attorney, and it's making quite clear that is what they believe is on the table, or at least maybe a reduction in her sentence as well. And of course, this comes as right now the Trump-led Justice Department is fighting her appeal for her conviction to the Supreme Court. We just had a brief today from her attorney where they were making a direct appeal to him, Jake, and saying, quote, "We are appealing not only to the Supreme Court, but to the president himself to recognize how profoundly unjust it is to scapegoat Maxwell for Epstein's crimes." So, of course, Jake, she was convicted for her crimes by a jury and is serving that 20-year sentence. It's a question of whether or not the president steps in there.
And just as a factual matter, Caitlin, I'm not sure President Clinton, that it's been confirmed that he's visited Jeffrey Epstein's island once, much less 28 times. Certainly people visited Epstein's island, and certainly Bill Clinton, as well as Donald Trump, used Jeffrey Epstein's plane. But is there any proof of any?
Wait, hold on. He said what? Hold on. Not only did they say, he's like, how did they know that he was at that on the island 28 times? That's quite the thing to say, right? Didn't you see me react to that? That was pretty crazy, right? He said, yeah, 28 times. Are we sure about that? How does he know, right? Then also at the same time, can any of the people that he's name dropping, could they sue Trump for defamation for saying these things? You see what I'm saying? Hold on, let me repeat that again. What Taper is a Tapper. Now, hold on.
I'm not sure President Clinton, that it's been confirmed that he's visited Jeffrey Epstein's island once, much less 28 times. Certainly people visited Epstein's island, and certainly Bill Clinton, as well as Donald Trump, used Jeffrey Epstein's plane.
So the plane has been used by Trump too. Lolita Express has been used by Trump too. Okay. But it's crazy for him to say 28 times if he has no proof of that. You see what I'm saying? And see, this is why I can see why people are looking at this and looking at this and saying he's trying to spin things to deflect the focus off of him. It looks suspicious when he says stuff like that, right?
But is there any proof of any of what he just said?
No, and I should note also that Bill Clinton, similarly to Donald Trump, has denied any knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, saying that he did not know about any of that in the decades leading up to it, because there were, of course, questions about this as we were talking about that birthday book where there was a birthday greeting from Donald Trump, which he's suing the Wall Street Journal over for reporting on, and is denied actually authoring it. There are a lot of other names of powerful people, Republicans and Democrats alike, who have appeared in that. All of them have denied, though, knowing about Epstein's crimes.
Well, somebody knew. Caitlin Collins, thanks so much.
That's very, 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 very interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. We got more, but that's just some wild stuff, y'all. That is just some wild stuff. Hold on. Let me get this members chat. Kimberly in Japan, thank you so much for being a member for the past 32 months. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. There are so many rumored names I'm terrified to hear. I don't know what to think about this. By the way, lots of love to your new princess. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Again, I think a lot of people are a little nervous about hearing the information, like hearing if there's the names that could possibly be in this file or in this list. And I don't think it's people who are. I don't think we're only nervous of it being leaders that we have. It could be people that we just love or highly revere, only to find out that they're up to no good or that they're bad in this kind of way. It'll be mind-blowing. But the question still remains, is that stuff going to come out, right? Is that information ever really going to come out? I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. We will definitely see. But y'all, this is crazy. It's just crazy. Okay. It's just crazy in my personal opinion. But of course we got more. Like I said, the deflection is just very bad. Okay. And you just can't deny that there is a deflection going on. And in my mind, I'm going, okay, then what does Trump have to hide then? Okay. What does Trump have to hide? That he doesn't want that information to come out. Why the circus? Why the dodging? Why the throwing everybody else under the bus instead of just going, okay, yeah, okay, Bill Clinton 28 times to the island, such and such, Larry whoever from Harvard, all those people. Here are the documents to show proof positive of those things. Him just saying these things doesn't help the situation. It doesn't back his claims. Unfortunately, though, there are people out here that are literally going to see this and say, and listen to this, because there's hardcore Trump supporters out there. His MAGA base are going to listen to him and go, yep, that's right. Whatever he said is true. Those damn such and suches, right? Yeah, Bill Clinton and everybody else. Trump's an angel. All these people, they're wrong for doing what they did. You see what I'm saying? There are people out here that'll just believe whatever he says because the power of denial. But there's still a possibility that he's just lying because he doesn't want the heat that's on his back right now. It's bad, guys. This is not good. Okay? This is not good at all. Now, real quick, I do want to share this with you guys, too. A little bit of an update. I am going to be live tonight on at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with my boy Alex. We are going to be having a conversation on the platform The Space at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm just coming on to a show to chop it up about everything that's going on in the world, from movies to pop culture, political stuff, etc. And so definitely check out the link up in the top of the chat right now. I just pinned it to the top of the chat. Go check it out. I will be live tonight with him at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you tune in. It's pinned at the top of the chat. Click on it. Go over there. Be a part of the conversation. It should be a fun one. Okay. Should be a good time. So I'll be there at 5 tonight. Okay. But again, pinned to the top of the chat. So go click on it, put on a reminder, whatever you need to do. 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. But it's called The Space. The Space. Yes. So go over there, check it out. And the link is pinned to the top of the chat right now. Okay. So go and check it out when you get a chance. But anyway, back to the conversation at hand. Okay. Here's the thing. I talked about this. I teased it earlier. I haven't seen this article yet. So we're going to be looking at this with fresh eyes. Okay. This space. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. That's Alex. He's in the chat. Devil's Advocate Productions. Okay. So he and I will be having a conversation, or I will be having a conversation with him. I don't know. I'm his guest. He's bringing me on. We're going to chop it up, and we're going to be talking about things that are going on in the world. So hop in, check it out, and be a part of the conversation. Okay. It's pinned at the top of the chat. This space. Sorry about that. Now back into this. Okay. Here's one thing that's very interesting, because I haven't seen this article yet, but I think this is very suspicious. This is suspicious. Very suspicious. Okay. Very suspicious, in my personal opinion. Now, y'all could look at this and be like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. That's totally fine. I don't know about you guys, but this seems a little bit odd. All right. So Ghislaine Maxwell, like I teased it earlier, and I'm bringing it back because I have not seen this yet, but I wanted to give you guys all that information that we just saw just a second ago. Okay. And there's still so much that has happened revolving around the Ghislaine, Jeffrey Epstein-ish. It's been crazy, right? But now we already know that she has been subpoenaed. She is going to be questioned, and she's going to be doing a testimony on August 11th of this year, the year of our Lord, 2025. Okay. Hopefully, it will be televised for everyone to see. It better be televised. But anyway, as she's doing this, before she does this, she wants immunity, number one. Two, she also wants questions in advance. Why? This is not like she's going on to a late night talk show and she's going to go and talk about the crazy little cute little anecdote about her turtle named Sven. Okay, this is not any of this. That has nothing to do with. Why would she get questions in advance? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. It's a sworn deposition, right? It's a sworn testimony, right? So why would she need questions in advance to testify? So that she knows how to fix her face when they ask a question that's hard-hitting? She knows how to lie when the cameras are on her face to make sure her face isn't twitching when she's lying? You realize that this is now just going to be a scripted interview where she could just straight up lie through her teeth. If they were to grant her this, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Her request is dumb and makes it look like they're trying to give her, or she wants room so that she can commit perjury and not get caught creating perjury. Let's take a look at this. So she wants immunity, questions in advance to testify for Congress. So Ghislaine would be willing to testify to Congress if lawmakers offer her immunity and provide her with questions in advance, her lawyer said in a letter obtained by the Washington Post. So our initial reaction was that Ms. Maxwell would invoke her Fifth Amendment rights and decline to testify at this time, her attorney wrote in a letter, to Representative James Comer, who chairs the House Oversight Committee. However, after further reflection, we would like to find a way to cooperate with Congress if a fair and safe path forward can be established. In addition to immunity and questions beforehand, Maxwell said through Marcus that she also wants to delay testifying until after the Supreme Court rules on her appeal of her Epstein conviction, which they're going to deny her appeal. You understand that, right? But here's the thing. They're thinking that they can sweeten the deal. Do you hear me? They're trying to sweeten the deal. Oh, she won't testify until after you guys make the decision whether or not you're going to appeal her Epstein conviction. Because that literally will depend on how she answers these questions on August 11th. Do you understand what's going on? This is all a game. Oh, yeah. Come on in. No. And I won't say anything until after you say whether or not you are going to grant my appeal and drop the charges. Remember, she tried earlier. They said, hell no. And then they just filed again for another appeal, to appeal again for her Epstein conviction. And she's basically saying this all depends on how this whole thing goes down. If you appeal and say yes to my Epstein conviction, then you might have a very smooth testimony with me. But if you don't appeal, then you're going to have a hard time with me in my testimony. You realize that she has the upper hand. She has leverage, and she knows that. She been known this, guys. As soon as they came out, as you know how the Trump administration mucked this up. Yes, I said it. Okay? Sorry, not sorry. The Trump administration jacked this whole thing up. Why, you may ask? because as soon as they said that the list doesn't exist, when they initially said that the list does not exist, they completely screwed the pooch in this situation. Her ears pricked up like a dog whistle went off. And she's like, oh, wait a second. Oh, there's an opportunity here. I could get out of this. I could get out of this situation. Yes, let's go. Right? Come on now. So she's trying to get out. That's why she comes out with the appeal like, oh, come on. Right? Ain't she French? You know? S'il te plaît. Right? S'il te plaît, Congress, s'il te plaît. Right? I know she sounded Haitian there, but you know what I'm saying? Because she knows that she knows the truth and she has info. And she's like, well, if that list don't exist, then why am I in here then? Come on, let's talk. Let's sit down and talk. Let's get things moving. But I won't say whether or not until you look at the filing I just put out. You see right there? Yeah, right there on your desk. Take a look at it. Go ahead. Yeah, that's the appeal for my Epstein conviction. I want that dropped. And then I'll say whatever the hell you want me to say. Crazy. Continuing on, Marcus also said that if Maxwell, Ghislaine, receives clemency from the president, she would be willing to testify open and honestly in front of Congress. Come on. Are you kidding me? Come on. Stop. If he gives me all the things that I need, I will say everything truthfully. If not, I'm going to lie. So what's the point of even bringing her up then? What's the point of her even testifying in Congress if she's just going to straight up lie? You realize how easily manipulated she could be, how easily compromised she could be. Because you want to know something? Okay. Now this is why I keep bouncing back and forth. Like maybe Trump did some bad things and he's in the list, but on the files because he did bad things. But then there's the other side where I'm like, maybe he didn't do anything that was bad. It was just that he was a bad boy, right? He didn't do anything illegal, but he was out here bumping uglies. You know what I'm saying? He was just an F boy, right? Cheating and doing all this crazy stuff. Maybe that's what it is, right? But what's interesting about this, though, is it almost seems as if she's like, I know things about you, Trumpy boy. And if I don't get what I want, I can ruin your life. I can absolutely destroy your legacy. Give me what I want, and then I'll be honest. Do you realize how bad that is? Do you realize that's like shiver me timbers? That's really bad. You understand that's bad, right? And I'm not the only one who sees that as being bad, right? The potential here is terrible, y'all. Absolutely terrible. Ay, Chihuahua. So Comer, who has subpoenaed Maxwell to give a deposition to congressional investigators on August 11th, said through a committee spokesperson that he is preparing for a formal response to Marx's letter, but at least one of Maxwell's conditions are off the table. The committee will not grant congressional immunity for her testimony. They said that off the table. Jizzy has been denied on the first thing that she wanted to have out there in the first place. She wants immunity, and he's like, no, you ain't gonna get it. You ain't getting no immunity. If you out here and you saying that you were a part of things and you're moving people around and all that stuff and you did something bad, sorry, not sorry, you're gonna get hit. If you're not already locked up for those things already, you could be catching more. Sorry. Comer's request for her testimony comes as President Trump's administration struggles to quell growing backlash, especially from his Republican base. His Republican base, just so you know, his MAGA base is angry as F about this situation. It's not only just the Dems, it's his own people that are lifting him up, okay, over its decision not to release any further information from the FBI's Epstein files. Separately, the Justice Department last week interviewed Maxwell in Tallahassee, where she's serving her 20-year sentence in hopes of getting more information it can release to the public. Now, the committee said it requested testimony from Maxwell as part of a congressional review of the federal government's enforcement of Epstein laws, as well as its handling of the investigation into the prosecution of Maxwell and Epstein cases. It also sought specific testimony from Maxwell to inform potential improvements to combating STing and reform plea agreements, in crime investigations. So the Justice Department said in a memo earlier this month that a review of the voluminous Epstein files had produced no evidence that would, quote unquote, expose any additional third parties to allegations of illegal wrongdoing, which we already know about this. This makes no sense. This is BS. You have thousands upon thousands of documents. You have thousands upon you have over at least 1,000 different victims that were moved back and forth. And you're telling me it was all just for Epstein the entire time? Miss me with that nonsense, right? But as fury over the lack of new disclosures has persisted, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche took the highly unusual step of personally traveling to Tallahassee to interview Maxwell over 2 days last week. So both Blanche and Marcus, the lawyer representing Ghislaine Maxwell, have declined to say what exactly Maxwell told Blanche during that meeting, though Marcus told reporters, her lawyer told reporters Friday that the Deputy Attorney General has asked her about 100 different people and that Maxwell had, quote unquote, answered every single question truthfully and to the best of her ability. Now, here's what's interesting about this. I said it the other day and I'm going to say it again. The feds, okay, the DOJ, the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, went up to her with a list of 100 names. What does that mean to you guys? It means there's a mother-loving list. There is an Epstein list. There's no way they just walked up and just started pulling names out their ass as they sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell, okay? It's not like they were sitting there going, oh, wait, could have been, I don't know, Guy Fury? Could it have been Usher? Well, he likes to go by Usher. Could have been Usher? No. Denzel Washington? No. Okay, no. Obama? Like, you know what I mean? They came in with a mother-loving list. Therefore, this means there is a mother-freaking list. Okay? Yeah. Put that in your pipe and smoke on it for a little bit. Okay? You damn stoners. Think about that for a second. List exists. So he could sit there. Trump administration can miss us all with the nonsense. After looking into all this stuff, there's no evidence of third parties. There's no evidence, but they still showed up with a list of 100 people. Make that make sense. They didn't walk in to just start rattling off 100 names. They sat down, they had a list, and they went through that entire list with that woman. They went there and they sat down with her for 9 hours straight. 9 hours, over the past 2 days, going over a list of names. A list! Okay? A fat-ass list! Okay? That's what they went through. They showed up with a list, but you see, what's weird is that they say a list doesn't exist, yet they show up with a list of names. Need I say more? It makes no earthly sense to me, guys. It doesn't. And the fact that this woman now is sitting here saying, yes, I would like the questions made to me before I get a chance to speak. Hell to the no. What's wrong with you? You want to lie? You want to keep on lying? You want to prepare yourself to make sure you are perfect, stoic, even when you're lying? Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Do you understand that? That bet not happen. That bet not happen. Because if it does, the whole world's going to lose their minds. The whole world is already losing their minds about this whole situation. And to me, it sounds like she could possibly be compromised. Real talk. There's a possibility of this woman already being compromised. Ain't that about to shut your mouth? Welcome to the world that we live in, y'all. Welcome to the world that we freaking live in. Okay, guys. We got more to talk about. But of course, let me know what your thoughts are. Where do you stand? Is that something that you are with 100%? Do you agree? Do you not agree? I think everything's bad. I still think it's very odd. And I'm going to pull this up here real quick. We're only going to play a little bit of this, but I do find it a little bit odd. Like I said before, a man who loves to fire people decides not to fire people, especially when they're mucking up and tearing apart his own support base. You got the MAGA supporters out there pissed off for his choice in people who are leading those specific departments, and the fact that they are right now withholding information, nay, dare I say, lying to the general public instead of doing the right thing and being absolutely 110% transparent. And instead, he's not firing anybody. That to me seems a little bit odd. Wouldn't you say? Let's take a look at this, shall we?
NBC News White House correspondent Von Hilliard for more on this. Also with us, PBS NewsHour co-anchor and MSNBC political contributor Jeff Bennett. And here on set with me, NBC News senior executive editor David Rode. Von, for 3 weeks now, this story has dominated Washington, and the president has been unable to really change the subject, which is unusual for him. Does the administration have a strategy to move forward at this point?
The strategy right now appears to try to take this actually head on. And that is where you see the Department of Justice going forward with that interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, with the with the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche. There's a question as to whether those transcripts from that day and a half of behind closed doors conversation between the DOJ and Maxwell will be released publicly. Senate Judiciary Democrats have put in a request to have those transcripts turned over to their colleagues in the Senate. This is a moment also that the president, though, has moved forward with a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal and called yesterday in a filing from his legal team for an expedited deposition of Rupert Murdoch, the head of the parent company of the Wall Street Journal, citing his 94-year-old age and questions over whether he will be healthy enough to potentially go during trial and testify. And so at the same time that the president seemingly wants to talk about anything but Jeffrey Epstein, he is also not backing down from questions that are being directed his way about it and continues to provide more fodder as to exactly what is in those files that the Department of Justice is yet to unseal.
Yeah, Jeff, the president seems to be trying to avoid some straightforward questions about Epstein. He did file that $10 billion lawsuit with a B over an Epstein story. He's trying to morph it into this Obama conspiracy. These are typical President Trump tactics that his opponents have been frustrated with for years. Why now are those same tactics frustrating his base?
Yeah, look, Anna, you can argue that the president's attempts at damage control on Epstein in many ways are making it worse in the sense that it's giving this enveloping scandal staying power. For instance, just yesterday, the president said he ended his friendship with Epstein and kicked him out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Epstein more than once hired people that used to work for Donald Trump. Well, just days earlier, the White House communications director, Stephen Chung, said that no, Trump kicked Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club, in Chung's words, because Epstein was a creep. Well, which is it? Now, look, there's no evidence of any wrongdoing by President Trump in his former relationship with Epstein, but you could also make the case that the strategy that the administration has for dealing with this at least underestimated, miscalculated the level of outrage among some of the president's base. And this all started because of MAGA conspiracy theories that Jeffrey Epstein didn't commit suicide in prison, that he was in fact murdered and left behind this list of powerful officials, a deep state cabal of Democrats. This was a conspiracy theory that was promoted in many ways by Donald Trump, by Pam Bondi, by Kash Patel. Those two folks now occupy and hold great power in the administration. And so Bondi's refusal to release the documents really adds to more questions and has created this rupture within the base. And to your point, Anna, this scandal has had staying power to the degree that no other Trump professional or personal scandal has.
That's very true. I mean, I feel like he's never going to live this down because there's a lot of people that feel some type of way about how this whole thing's been handled. It's bad. Now, I do want to share this as well. And I told you guys there was some breaking information that I heard right before we went live. And this all pertains to Jeffrey Epstein as well. Remember the time when we found out that the footage of his cell was kind of broken up, that there was like minutes missing in the actual security cam footage that was pointed towards his actual cell and everything? Well, we got some new information. Don't know if this is entirely 110%, but I do want to share it with you guys no matter what, because this is very interesting. This is from Raw Alerts. And so I want to share this. It says, breaking. This was as of a couple hours ago, just so you know, because like I saw it right when we were about to go live. I'm like, oh my damn, we need to talk about this, right? So it says here, the FBI possesses complete unedited video footage from Epstein's prison block on the night of his demise, footage that, unlike the public released version, contains no missing segments. Now, obviously, are we that surprised? Probably not. But at the same time, that's still very interesting that this is happening, that this information has come out. Now, is this entirely 110% true? I don't know, but I'm going to repeat it one more time. Because remember, the footage, even Pam Bondi explained, which I have to find that footage again, that video, where she explains, oh, well, every night before the clock doth strike midnight, the camera shut off for a minute. They said a minute, but actually the camera shuts off for a few minutes and then it turns back on. That's what she said, right? I'm going to have to pull up that video again where she says this as Trump's like filibustering as she's trying to figure out how she's going to lie, basically. Okay. But now they're saying, and maybe this is one of the reasons why Dan Bongino is like, I am never looking at this country the same way again. I'm never looking at the world and how we run things the same way again. Maybe there's some information that he knows, to the likes of that the FBI possesses complete unedited video footage from Jeffrey Epstein's prison block on the night of his demise. Unlike the publicly released version, it contains no missing segments. So why not just give out the footage without the missing segments? Do you realize how bad this is? I have to hit the button again. So yeah, so basically, yes, the video that we saw, yes, Jamaican girl, Wataguan, yes, it basically means potentially, because of course, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that Raw Alerts is not a reliable source. I'm just saying you just never know nowadays, okay? People be crazy out here. Things come out. that aren't true, and then or things come out and then we find out later it's not true, but they're saying that this video was indeed fixed, that this video was indeed edited. We all seen the video and we're like, why is there a blip? And there's a lot of damage you can do. There's a lot of muerte you can do in a short amount of minutes if you have a plan and you have a goal. There's a lot you can do in a short amount of time, right? Renee, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. But like I said, this is crazy. Now, I have to pull up. Hold on. I got to pull up the Pam Bondi. Epstein, Trump, that video, because she explains it in that video. And I know everybody's like, repurpose that video a billion times over. So just give me a second. Grant me some grace. But it is crazy that hold on. This is what I hate because it is a little old. Okay, respectfully, it is a little old news. Oh, come on. Because I want us to hear her saying, hey, listen, you know for a fact, or like, hey, guys, the footage is cut because once the clock strikes 12, it reboots. Everything shuts down and starts all over again, right? And it's crazy because if that was actually true, if that is actually true, they just exposed some truth to all those inmates who are just keeping up with this whole situation. You don't think that they're sitting there going, oh, so you mean like around 11:58 p.m. before midnight, 2 minutes before midnight, I can cause some crimes and it won't get caught on camera? Bad. Say less, bro. Come on now. They need somebody shanked. They need somebody to go bye-bye. They're like, just give me 2 minutes, bro. Okay? I've been working on this shiv for the last 3 months. I'm ready to go, baby. Just saying. It's bad. Oh, come on. Where is that damn? Hold on. Let's see. Pam Bondi. Boom. Let's see. Where the heck is it? You'd think it'd be really easy to find. There it is.
Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some
Take a look at this.
mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former labor secretary who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the minute set?
Yeah, sure. If could I just interrupt? Sure.
And then see, here's the thing. He jumps in, which is weird. He jumps in and some believe he's filibustering. So he, hoping that maybe he'll just bring all the attention to himself and he'll be able to squash this and that they'll just move on. Right. But she's like, no. I got this. No. I got this. Okay. Okay, Trump, I got this, as he's filibustering. But it gives her some time to figure out how she's going to maneuver out of this situation.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things.
It's bad.
And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Sure. First, to back up on that, in February, I did an interview on Fox, and it's been getting a lot of attention because I said, I was asked a question about the client list, and my response was, It's sitting on my desk to be reviewed, meaning the file along with the JFK, MLK files as well. That's what I meant by that. Also, to the tens of thousands of video, they turned out to be child porn downloaded by that disgusting Jeffrey Epstein. Child porn is what they were. Never going to be released, never going to see the light of day. To him being an agent, I have no knowledge about that. We can get back to you on that. And the minute missing from the video, we released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every year, every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking for that video to release that as well, showing that a minute is missing every night.
They're looking for the video, yet they gave out a video. So what is it then? Right? They're looking for the video. And I love how she says there's CP. And it's almost like she's waiting for everyone to the old woman in the background, like fainting. Oh, CP. Oh, you know what I mean? As she says, there's CP. There's so much CP. It doesn't change anything. They're like, we want the answers. We live in a different world now. CP, we've been used to it now because we already know about Epstein. We already know what to expect. You see what I'm saying? And no, we don't want to see the CP. Hell to the frick no. But we want the transparency. And we want whoever's needs to be held accountable. So when you see something like this, it's like, come on, y'all. Come on. Don't tell me that you're it's because a minute is off. And she's like, we're still getting that. We're still trying to get that video for you guys. Well, you already have it. Just release it. How did you misplace a video that you already posted online already, letting everybody know about this footage? And now if Red Alerts is correct, that means that they edited this video, the video that we've all seen, that there is a continuous video out there. And that could also add to the possibility of a cover-up. Again, guys, like this is not good. It's not good. And it still just continues on and on and on and on and on. And I'm just like, my Lord, they need to stop falling on their faces in front of the world. It's all kinds of bad, guys. All kinds of bad. But, you know, you heard what I had to say about the Epstein stuff. He's definitely, Epstein is definitely the bane of Trump's existence right now. And he could easily stop all of this madness if he was to just put out the information. But here's the thing. Things have gotten so jacked up. Things have gotten so jacked up and so chopped up and screwed and flipped upside down that it's going to be very, very hard for them to believe what is real and what is not real, for the public to really believe that the files are truly the files. You see what I'm saying? When you know for a fact that aside from the CP, I'm sure there's a whole lot more disturbing information that's in those files. But everything's so jacked up, it just makes you wonder when they're going to actually come out with more information and be truthful. That's not working out in their favor right now. Unfortunately, it is not. Now, we got to get into this other thing, okay? There has been some new updates revolving around this assailant, this madman in New York City. As we already know, okay, that there was an assailant walked into 345 Park Avenue. It housed the NFL and Blackstone Inc., okay? And there's a lot of people that were wondering, what does this have to do? Why did he walk into a building that had the NFL and Blackstone? And of course, there was a lot of wonder, what was the target? So we now find out that the target was indeed the NFL. And the way he took his the way he took himself out, for lack of a better term, was done in such a way that didn't make any sense. Because, if you're not successful in that attempt, in the way that he did it, then you could survive, and that could be very, very bad, right? But nonetheless, he lost his life. He is gone. But one thing is for sure, his target has now been exposed. His target was the NFL. He was trying to take out people up there in that building in the NFL floor. But he went to the wrong floor, guys. He ended up going into the wrong elevator that took him to the wrong floor. But he still was like, I still want to do some bad. So he went off and did more bad. Okay? But what they found on his person was a note. And he said in his note, please study my brain. I'm sorry. There's a couple pages that he left in this note. He said, please study my brain. I'm sorry. Obviously, this is still an ongoing developing piece of information. This is obviously very, very shocking, but let's take a look at this, okay? Multiple people lost their lives, guys. Okay? And apparently he was blaming not only just the NFL, but he was also blaming CTE that he claims to have had. All right? Now, I just did a video about this first thing in the morning before we went live, but I, of course, wanted to share with you guys a little bit more information because there has been more info revolving around this guy. All right? So obviously, we already know this guy's name is Shane Tamura. There's his face right there. Okay? He is the one that has been identified. He walked into that building. He opened fire on a bunch of people, wreaking havoc, all because of CTE and his disdain for the NFL. Yeah, this is some crazy stuff. So the man who opened fire in Midtown Manhattan office building, taking the life of 4 people and wounding a 5th, had a note claiming he suffered from CTE. This is what police sources told ABC News. So Shane Tamura, he lost his life by doing self, okay? After Monday's mass tragedy at 345 Park Avenue, which is the home of the NFL headquarters. So one page of the note found in his pocket accused the NFL of concealing the dangers to players' brains to maximize profits, sources said. Very interesting. So now we get a little bit more insight on what the letter said. So again, he says that the NFL was concealing the dangers of the trauma to the brain to maximize profits. A second page mentioned CTE and blamed football. A third page asked, quote unquote, study my brain, please. I'm sorry, sources said. So he was blaming CTE, the NFL, and that was his motive, to go in there and do all of this, to bring awareness to CTE and the fact that there's a lot of men that are getting diagnosed with CTE because of the trauma that their brains are going through during this very volatile sport. So CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy. I think it's encephalopathy. Sorry, I learned how to pronounce it earlier today. So encephalopathy, okay, is a brain disease linked to repeated hits to the brain, often seen in military veterans and athletes, including football players, hockey players, and boxers. CTE can't be diagnosed in a living person with certainty, but doctors may suspect it based on symptoms and history of head trauma. Now, here's the thing. He can't know if he has CTE. He can't. He may just have mental health issues. Remember, he has a documented history of mental health. That is a massive situation. A documented history of mental health says a lot. He may just be mentally unfit. mentally unwell. That's it. Okay? That's it. Symptoms include memory loss, mood changes, confusion, and trouble thinking clearly. So Tamura, 27 years old, played high school football in Los Angeles, but did not play professionally. Police have found no evidence so far that he suffered from any kind of traumatic brain injury or had CTE, sources said. He has no known connection to the NFL. I mean, here's the thing, Classic. You say he may have been misdiagnosed. Who would diagnose CTE on him if there's no way that you just see what I'm saying? I'm just curious. I feel like he just diagnosed himself with it. You also got to remember, somebody who already has mental health issues, he may have just come up with that idea in his own mind. It must be CTE. That's the reason why I'm all jacked up. That's what it is, though. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe. And here's the other thing, too. Just because he barely played does not mean that he didn't get rocked a few times. You see what I'm saying? Maybe that's why he didn't play as much. Maybe he wasn't a good athlete. Maybe he wasn't a great at football. But at the same time, you could still get hit hard and get hit hard a bunch of times and still, you know what I mean? Have head trauma from those things, right? Or he just had a mental breakdown. He had a mental break in his life, and he just believes that it's CTE because he played football at one point in his life. That's possible. He could just be fabricating all of this stuff in his head when he clearly just has, like, I don't know, schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, or any bipolar, manic depression. It could be a million different things, right? Could be a million different things. But in his mind, okay, maybe he's making those things up in his head. I don't know. At the end of this rampage, of course, he died by turning the weapon to himself, right? Okay. And this was on the 33rd floor because he was trying to get to higher floors, but he went into the wrong elevator. Okay. It appears as though he was going after the employees at the NFL. From our preliminary investigation, he took the wrong elevator bank up to the NFL headquarters. Instead, it took him to Rudin Management. And that's where he carried out additional attacks and then, of course, taking the lives of additional employees. 4 people were killed. 2 have been identified, an executive at Blackstone who was a wife and mom, and a police officer who was a dad of 2 with a 3rd on the way. And that's so sad. A 5th victim was injured and taken to the hospital in critical condition. Officials said that victim is out of surgery and is in stable condition on Tuesday morning, according to a source familiar with the individual's status. So they traced his BMW movements through multiple states since it left his home state of Nevada on Saturday and entered New York on Monday, about 2 hours before this whole thing went down. So he had 2 mental health crisis holds in his background in Nevada, one in 2022 and the other in 2024. Law enforcement sources said those holds typically allow a person to be detained for up to 72 hours if they are thought to be a danger to others or themselves. According to one source, when there is this type of hold in Nevada, officers have to transport the person to the hospital. Once that happens, medical staff take over and decide how long to hold that person. He also had a CCW, okay, which is a concealed carry license in 2022. And what's weird is that his psychological holds, his mental health holds, happened starting in 2022. So it does make you wonder, did he become more paranoid? Did he get the CCW after he was on hold or before he went into before he was on hold, a mental health hold? That's something I'm kind of curious about as well. Then at the same time, how was he able to purchase a high power M4 assault rifle? How was he able to do that? right? How is he able to get a weapon with a history of mental health? Again, those are the things that just don't make any sense, any earthly sense to me at all whatsoever. Okay. And again, this is the stuff that frustrates me because we talk about mental health and gun control on this channel a bunch of times, right? And a lot of times it has to do with somebody and their mental health. But what's so sad about those other situations is that a lot of those people are running around flying under the radar, never having any, some of them, not all, but a good portion of them, we don't hear about them being on mental health holds, being put in the psychiatric ward or anything of that sort. A lot of these times, these are people who are literally finding ways to self-medicate, or they haven't been diagnosed at all. And then they go and they buy a weapon and then they do something really bad. Whereas this situation, you have a history of mental health issues, mental health holds, and he still was able to obtain weapons. Now, we still don't know if he was able to obtain those weapons legally or illegally, but still, no matter what, if he was to get these legally, then there's something wrong in the system, and that system needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Because again, a person like this guy should not have had any access to weapons as vicious as an M4. Just doesn't make sense. And again, let's look at this. So, his high school football coach speaks out and says he was quiet and a hard worker. So, they say he was quiet and a hard worker during his high school football days, his former coach said following the tragedy. So we already know who Tamora is, but he was a former running back at the Granada Hills Charter School in Southern California in the mid-2010s before he did what he did just yesterday in New York City. His former assistant coach told Fox 11 that he was a quiet kid and a hard worker who was easy to coach after transferring to Granada Hills from Golden Valley. So whatever we asked him to do, he was doing it, he said after this whole tragedy. He led by, his actions on the field. He was our, one of my top offensive players at the time. That's very interesting. Take a look at this. Some junior highlights of 2016. Hold on. We're going to look at that. But, here, Shane Tamora, Golden Valley High School, JV football. And then here's this. There's no sound to this, but him playing. Crazy, though. I mean, he was playing. These are all highlights of him playing. So I don't know how much of him was a bench warmer, but from what it looks like to me, it looks like he was playing, y'all. Look at that. Wow. So he was playing. Fast kid, it looks like. Look at this. This is him right here. I don't know how much of a bench warmer he was, though. Look at him with all these TDs, though. So, again, very interesting, though. Very, 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 very interesting. Okay? So, he was a football player. Okay? He definitely was playing football. So, his assistant coach said the devastating news has him reflecting on his interactions with Tamora. Could I have done more? Could I have helped the kid? Could I have reached out to him, or could you reach out to me? It's just a lot of things I'm trying to process right now. Investigators said that they found the note that we just talked about, okay, claiming that he had CTE, and he mentioned the NFL. Okay, and of course that was housed in this Park Avenue address. So they're saying that he was targeting the NFL, but he got lost. All right. He got lost in that building. So he revealed an NFL employee was seriously injured in this tragedy, but is currently in stable condition, which obviously is great news. But of course, this is a guy who had a history of playing football, and I think he just had mental health issues. And I guess as he got older, they just became more severe. That's what I think. I think they just got more and more severe. And maybe it was undiagnosed until much later. And it just got worse. There also could be a situation where maybe it is a disgruntled footballer that wanted to be great, but never got the opportunity to be great. That could have pushed him even more into some mental health decline. Maybe that's it as well. I don't know, right? But in his mind, he believed that he had CTE, and so he turned the weapon onto himself, and he right here, center mass, right, instead of the head, because he was like, study my head, study my brain. I have CTE, study my brain. And of course, he said, I'm sorry. Now, I've always said this a million times before, and I'm going to say it again here on this show live. By doing what he did, it does not bring awareness to anything that he's trying to bring awareness to. All we see is tragedy, and we see a madman doing something completely unthinkable, right? Now, yes, I'm sure there's people around him that are kind of curious as to what they could have done to maybe stop this whole situation from happening, etc. But I don't know. I don't think there is a red flag or a warning sign with things like this. But I will say this though too. And maybe he did think that we were going to pity him because he just, but I don't think it's that. I mean, clearly, I'm sure that's an attempt. He says, I'm sorry, right? He says, study my brain. I'm sorry. That's, it doesn't excuse anything from what he has done, right? What he did is absolutely disgusting and wrong. And like I said, the wrongdoing that he did, the crimes and the tragedy that he ensued overshadows any message that he's trying to leave behind. That gets ignored. And yes, I do think that the NFL needs to look into CTE and taking care of their athletes for sure. But at the same time, this is not how you get your message across. It's clearly not. Now, could it be a kid who had aspirations of becoming a professional athlete, but then he never got that opportunity, and then his mental health just declined and got worse, and then he just believed because he took a few blows when he was a kid that maybe he has CTE? I don't know. I don't know. But maybe as they start to do more investigation into this situation, we'll find out whether or not these theories are correct, right? Because in a way, it feels like this whole thing could have been like, I could have been a contender, and he just never got the opportunity. And maybe he was just so angry about that, it just pushed him to the edge and made him lose his mind. Maybe that's what it is. And then while he started to lose his mind, he started coming up with excuses on why his mind was slipping. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I mean, he drove up in a BMW, and I'm not sitting here saying that every person that has a BMW is rich, but It's a BMW, for crying out loud. He must have been doing just fine in life. So it does make you wonder what's really going on here. It really, really does. Okay? It really, really does. But yeah, guys, it's very, very sad about the situation. Now, there is one last thing that I want to bring up to you guys, and I know this is when it gets weird. This is when it gets weird, because I know everybody feels some type of way about about this conversation that I'm about to bring up, and it has everything to do with Gaza. Now, I know everyone's like, "What?" Now, hold on, guys, hold on. There's a lot that's going on in Gaza, and we need to bring awareness to this. We need to have some conversations about it. There's a lot of people starving. Kids are starving. People are fighting for any type of food. Okay. It's bad. It's really, 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 really bad over there. Like I said, I just want to share a little bit of this because we just need to talk about it. I'm telling you right now, it's babies that are just absolutely emaciated, starving to death, etc. I mean, it's really, really bad. There needs to be some more awareness on this. We need to talk about it. So I'm going to play a little bit of this for you guys. It's insane. There's been footage all over TikTok of people fighting to get into, because they literally just cut off the people of Gaza from their access of food for months. I'm not kidding. For months. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, they decided to give them food again, give them access to food again. And there is footage out here that is just so unbelievably shocking that no person deserves this. Doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, okay? Doesn't matter. Okay? This is just human decency. This is just life. And you got these kids. And yes, I know there's kids starving in America too. Not to the likes of this. I've never seen something like this in a long time. This is very extremely inhumane. And like I said, doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. People, every person deserves the right for food, clean water, and air to breathe. So I'm going to share this with you guys. Let's take a look at this.
To get a ceasefire, and hostage health organization is warning about mass starvation in Gaza because of Israel's blockade. Over 5,000 children are suffering from malnutrition this month alone, and the pressure is growing to get a ceasefire and hostage release deal. Starvation is spreading in Gaza this morning as the humanitarian crisis worsens by the day. Over 100 aid groups are warning of mass starvation as the food shortage becomes increasingly dire. The World Health Organization says there are now nearly 30,000 children under 5 who are malnourished. ABC News has filmed inside the children's ward of a hospital in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza.
Okay. You see this, right? You see these kids. I'm just saying, it's kids, y'all. It's kids. These are moments when it's like we need to put aside any of the differences that we have. Human decency. This is insane. And you see all these people fighting just to get soup, just to get a little bit of rice. It's no joke. They squeeze them off, y'all. They cut them off. Like I said, I'm not taking any sides here. I'm just talking about the starvation thing. We're talking about human decency, inhumane acts that are happening. You got kids. When you start talking about the kids, I got a problem. These kids didn't do nothing. And now they're starving. There's images here that just makes you want to look, makes you want to hug your own kids. crazy.
Many of these children are so weak, they struggle to move. My daughter didn't eat anything for 5 days, she says. Yesterday, she got dizzy and fell in her tent. Norhan Salha's 5-month-old daughter is one of 30 children here suffering from malnutrition. I can't do anything for her, she says. It's a really hard thing for a mother to feel like this. It's indescribable. This doctor says people are falling in the streets from fatigue.
The hospital is overcrowded by the patient.
As the situation deteriorates, the IDF is ramping up its operations across the Strip, striking more than 120 targets in a 24-hour period. This World Health Organization warehouse hit. This is what remains of vital supplies. Israel's president visited the Strip Wednesday. He blames Hamas for sabotaging aid delivery and claims Israel is abiding by international law. And on a deal, well, Israel says it has received Hamas's response to a ceasefire proposal. It is being reviewed. And the U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, he's meeting with Israeli officials this week.
What's crazy is that the starvation in Gaza has been happening for a long time now. Sorry, I'm just pulling this up. I'm just trying to make sure. I mean, they're sitting here saying, oh, no. I mean, NPR just put this out. Worst case scenario of famine is unfolding in Gaza. Oh, come on. So the United Nations affiliated organization that tracks food security worldwide has issued a dire alert confirming that a quote unquote worst case famine scenario is unfolding across the Gaza Strip. Latest data indicates that famine thresholds have been reached for food consumption in most of the Gaza Strip and for acute malnutrition in Gaza City, the report says. Immediate, unimpeded humanitarian access into Gaza is the only way to stop rapidly rising starvation and death. So, I mean, there is so much going on where you see images like this on online everywhere, okay? On TikTok, on all that, you know what I mean? It's insane. X, etc. This kind of stuff. This needs to stop. Okay? This type of stuff needs to stop. These are the moments, I hate to say that, but and it maybe sounds very selfish, but these are the moments where I instantly want to, hug my kids, kiss my refrigerator, if that makes any sense. Because it's insane that there are people out here. There's a whole nation of people that are starving right now because resources are being squeezed off by them, or squeezed off to them, I'm sorry. And this has been going on for a very long time, to the point where you have kids dying. It's terrible, y'all. But it's a real thing that's happening in this world in 2025. This is really happening. And they're just wanting a little bit of water, a little bit of bread. Some of them haven't eaten anything like as far as protein or meat in a very long time. And all they want is a little bit of sustenance. I just think that's a little insane. Something's got to change. Something's definitely got to change. That's bad, y'all. That's really, really bad. But that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. It really means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in, being a part of the conversation. We got a lot to talk about. That was a lot. We just went through a lot. But we got more. We got more stuff to talk about. Like I said, there's so much going on. It's been insane. Okay? But I appreciate you guys coming in, chopping it up with me, and talking about all this. We got to talk. We're gonna continue the conversation here very, very soon. Okay? But it's time for me to hop off here. So please do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble, Twitch, Kick, make sure you hit that follow button. Follow. Of course, don't forget to subscribe here on my YouTube channel. Please and thank you. Go to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe over there. Go to my third channel, Pascal Raw. Subscribe over there. Brand new podcast. All right. Go check it out. Pascal Raw. All right. Subscribe there. Make sure all those notification bells are set to all on all platforms so you know whenever I go live, whenever I upload, because it is random. All right. Thank you so much. Of course, don't forget, I'll be on in a couple hours over on this space. Okay. Chopping it up with Alex of Devil's Advocate Productions. So please be sure to tune in. I'll be on around 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So just in a few hours. So make sure you're tuned in. Okay? That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. And of course, check out PascalMerch.com. Okay, guys? But anyway, it is time to get going. I'll be talking to you guys very, very soon. I'll see you guys tonight at 5 p.m. All right, on this space, the link is pinned to the top of the chat right there. So go click on it. Make sure you got it up on your algorithm and all that crap. And I'll see you guys in a couple hours over there. But we still got some things to talk about here too. So keep this open because we got some things coming up. All right. But anyway, it's time to get going. Much love to you guys. Have a great one. Stay blessed out there. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.